אני מאשימה אותך, בנימין נתניהו. מאשימה אותך בטבח 7 באוקטובר. האסון הגדול ביותר שידעה המדינה קרה במשמרתך. גם אם אתה ישן עם מצפון נקי, לא נשכח לך, נזעק את ההפקרה, תקום ועדת חקירה ממלכתית. אני מאשימה אותך, בנימין נתניהו, במימון החמאס, בבניית הטרור ועצימת העיניים האיום הקיומי עלינו, בהפקרת ביטחון המדינה כמדיניות. ביטחון הוא לא אינסטרומנט פוליטי, שמעת? הוא מעל הכל. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, הפכת את הציבור העובד והמשרת לחמורו של משיח. יצרת את ברית ההשתמטות והסיפוח. גבורת הלוחמים נעלמה מעיניך, אבל לא מעינינו. היא האור שאיתו נבנה מחדש. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו. השחיתות האישית שלך הפכה למכת מדינה. כל מושחת הופך שותף. ככל שיש לך תיק יותר גדול על מישהו, הוא יותר נוח לך. משפט של איש אחד לקח מדינה שלמה כבת ערובה. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, כי שכחת מה זה להיות יהודי. טראמפ החזיר חטופים במקומך, בזמן שאתה, בלי חשומה, התעסקת בלרתום אותו לחנינה. עשרות חטופים נרצחו ונהרגו בשבי, כשאתה לא קיימת את מצוות פדיון שבויים. חסר מצפון ובלי אלוהים. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, הגזענות תמיד שירתה אותך. קראת אותנו מבפנים, הפכת חצי עם לאויב. אז נתניהו, אני המרוקאית, המסורתית ממגדל העמק אומרת לך, אנחנו נשבור את החומות שבנית, אנחנו ננקה את הרעל ששפכת פה 30 שנה, אנחנו נחזור להיות חברה מאוחדת. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, רוצחים פה אזרחים כאילו הם אבק אדם. משילות, עלק. כשהליכוד מתנהל כמו ארגון פשע, ארגוני הפשיעה מרימים ראש. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, כן, בהקרבת החיים עצמם. אנשים גמורים תחת המציאות הכלכלית. לא יודעים איך להיכנס לסופר ולשלם חשבונות. הכל פה הפך יקר. רק החיים תחתיך הפכו לזולים עד כאב.
It's the homeless left with Matt Weinglass and co-host Craig Costa Jardula. Episode 146. It's a big club and you ain't in it. A real fake news update. And here's your host, Matt Weinglass.
All right, here we go. Getting lined up here. There we go. All right. Welcome, everybody. It's the homeless left. We are going the rest of the afternoon, a little bit of a late start, but we appreciate you guys holding on for us. Little tech issues starting the show. We always have that as a possibility. It could happen at any time, like internet getting shut off and having to work that through. So we worked it through and we have a great show for you. We had to make a couple adjustments as far as putting a few stories over to Thursday, but Thursday is going to be a massive show. We got a lot of different guests coming in. We'll tell you about that soon enough. But today, because we had to rearrange some stuff, it looks like it's going to be you guys and me today. That's how we're doing it. We'll try to get Craig Pasta in on Thursday, but we also have a bunch. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to tell you guys now what we have on Thursday, since we're just kind of getting you guys in here. We're gonna I'll let you know. I was gonna save it, but I'll tell you guys, we'll have Jay Scott co-host with us on Thursday for some of the show. We have a guest co-host as well coming in, Kelly Lane. We're gonna have, it looks like Nick Cruz is going to be with us from RBN, and Nico House, Duopoly Destroyer himself, will also be joining us on Thursday. And then two big guests coming in on top of that. So we'll have an extended show on Thursday for you guys. We have two ex-NSA CIA whistleblowers that will be joining us with Kelly Lane, Ray McGovern and Bill Binney. We're going to have pretty much a discussion about the surveillance state and deep dive in some of the whistleblowing that the two of them have been doing for the rest of us, for the people. And that's what you got to do. You got to hold people in power accountable. So we always look forward to these type of conversations. We're certainly looking forward to Thursday. We'll also be getting a later start on Thursday. So mark your calendar now. It's 1 p.m. start time at 1 p.m. Pacific on Thursday. We meant to go at noon today, so it's also around the same start time. But we generally like to do the show at noon, and we go most of the afternoon, 4-hour, 5-hour shows, depending on what topics and what stuff we need to dive into, and certain guests we want to accommodate, have conversations. We're always open to conversations on all sides. I know people like to say both sides of the aisle, but we're beyond aisles at this point. We are just talking about people reaching out, extending olive branches, having the opportunity to connect with people that maybe you didn't even think you were aligned on anything on. It turns out we have a lot more in common than they wanted us to believe. That's not our fault. That was by design. Let's get used to that, not punching down at each other or across vertically to each other, or horizontally. Let's us understand that there was a system in place to keep us divided, to keep us confused, keep us at each other's throats. That was all part of the plan on purpose. So once we realize that, it's our job to get our fellow human being, our fellow person of the earth. We're all here. We're all together. We're all part of this journey together. Get those conversations going. Fight this war machine. Fight this censorship machine. Fight this propaganda machine. The thing they call the media is not the media. That's why we're here. The media has not been the media for several decades. We have lost our ability, that fourth pillar of government, which is supposed to be the media. It keeps the other three pillars in check. It's like a table. You need all four legs to work. Once you knock one out, the table's pretty much toast. And that's what happened in our case. Our government has been compromised for several decades. We like to say even back to when the Federal Reserve was created in the 1910s, 1920s. You had basically this capture of what the government was supposed to be, for the people, by the people. That's what it was supposed to be for. It really hasn't been since. And of course, press being taken away from us and turned into a propaganda machine, literally propagandists that are put in place to look at a camera, as I'm doing right now. They're put in place to look into a camera and tell you the thing that's going to protect the people in power and pit us against each other. They're not journalists. They're propagandists. And that's why we're here. That's the only reason we're here. It's cool and fun to like engage with you guys, and it's cool to know stuff, but wouldn't it be nice if we just had people that, they were paid a lot of money, fine. We don't care about their paycheck. We care about who's paying their paycheck and what is that payment going to. Why is when Rachel Maddow get a paycheck literally from their Pfizer and Moderna sponsors of MSNBC, why is that money? What is that purpose of that paycheck? It's so people like her can look in the camera and tell you, if you take this experimental jab, you're not going to get COVID and you're not going to transmit it. That was her job. Still her job. She also looks in the camera and tells you, Russiagate, Russiagate, Russiagate. Hasn't apologized for that yet. And we have the same problems on Fox News. That's not even debatable at this point. We understand they're all captured by the same billionaire class, and they're designed to target the particular demographic and pit it against the other demographics. That's what they've been doing. So again, that's why we're here. The Homeless Left. We welcome you guys to our space. Our space is a non-tribal space. We look at the world not from team play, but from humanity play. And we welcome anyone else who feels homeless. You might feel like the tribe or the party or the color or the team you were part of has let you down. You started asking questions, and rather than getting answers, or maybe even an I don't know, or we'll get back to you, you started getting bullied for asking questions, told to shut up, get in line. You're helping the other team. We're in this together for the greater good. We got to do whatever we can to stop the enemy, which is the other guys, not the billionaire class, but your neighbors. Those are the people you got to be mad at, the ones with the wrong sign in their front yard, right? So That was the game. Now, when you got to your breaking point, and that's why you're here now with us, because you understand that that's not how politics is supposed to work. We're supposed to hold people accountable that we vote for, especially the people we vote for, the people who do the voting and the campaigning and writing the checks. Here's a donation, whatever it is, Act Blue, Bernie Sanders, whatever it was. I've given money. We've given money. When you give money to a campaign, to a party, you should be the first to be vocal, the first person to speak up, to say, you're not spending my money the way you told me you were. You lied to me. You played me, and I'm effing furious. That's your job, not the job of the person who didn't want to give money in the first place. They also can complain and bitch and whine. That's fine. But it's the responsibility of the voter, the one who wrote the check for the campaign contribution, the one who put the sign, the correct sign in their front yard, and the one who showed up to the polls and put their name. See, we don't think about that part. We put our name on propositions. We put our name on candidates when we check a box. That's our word. That's our livelihood. That's who we are. We're saying we believe in this thing. So we should be the first persons to speak up when that thing doesn't go the way it was told to us it was going to go. That's how it is. And we see more people waking up on both sides about this, which is great, in real time. So we're going to get a lot of that. We've been covering the MAGA divide, which is great. By the way, guys, it's great. Anybody on the left who's telling you, ha, 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 look at them all at each other's throats, that's not honest. We want those arguments. We want people calling people out. We want Candace Owens screaming right now. We want Tucker Carlson screaming at the top of their lungs. That's what we want. Not because we want them to fail, but because we want them to do better. And the same should be for the Democrats. We should also like the fact that Palestine protesters have been in the streets. That's the point. You guys may have missed that, but back in Chicago, Kamala Harris not letting anybody on that stage that was for Palestine. It was all Democratic Party, all Israel, 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 just like the Republicans. So the protesters who were Democrat, they were progressives. You didn't have Republicans in the streets at the DNC. You had Democrats in the streets. They're the ones who pushed, and they didn't get anything to happen in that moment, but they set a precedent. They planted seeds, and guess what? We're seeing the Israel narrative crumbling, and that's because people are in the streets. So if you're one of the people criticizing and bullying and making fun of protesters at the college campuses over these last 2.5 years, you're on the wrong side of things, because you should be thanking them, because that's the reason why we're allowed to have this conversation now. That's the reason why we're talking about defunding Israel right now. That's the reason why the right is upset, because the Palestinian protesters push the conversation. That's what it's about. So sometimes you got to play the long game. You can't get these little wins in the moment, but that's what it's about. We are in it for the long run. That's what we're doing here on the Homeless Left. That opening, I forgot to mention, that was a big moment. We're going to get back to that later in the show. But Netanyahu getting called out to his face, very important. He's being called an enemy within, right to his face. Very important that these moments, that we talk about these moments, because we weren't allowed to do that or see that or talk about it just 2 years ago, or even a year ago. So things are changing. We're excited about this. Let's go ahead and let me do this. Just going to give you a sense of what we're doing today. This is it's a big club. You ain't in it. We are going to be covering a bunch of stuff. I said we're moving a few things over to Thursday, but we're covering a bunch today. We're going to be talking about the White House hosting an ex-Al-Qaeda leader. Ooh, wow. Syrian president. That's interesting, right? Well, we'll be able to break that down for you. The 40-day government shutdown turned out to be a scam by the Uniparty. We'll get into that one. Crazy stuff going on in the MAGA arena, with Laura Loomer saying she will defund Israel, wants to defund Israel. That's new. That's weird. We'll look at that one. Kash Patel's girlfriend, we know what she's up to, going after influencers, suing them for a buttload of money. That's happening. We're going to look into that as well. and some more going on with Miss Rachel. So we'll look at some of that as well. And a loudest voice of the week is coming as well. We also have a World War III watch we were going to do it with Craig Pasta, but we'll probably do part 1 today and get to the part 2. But that's an ongoing discussion. As you guys know, we do World War III watch on this channel as well. So let me go ahead and well, first, welcome everybody to the show that's just getting here now. Love to see you here. And yeah, we see you guys. Some of you said we're late. You're late. Well, you're not late because we were late. So we're not. So we all were late together. So we're all on time. How about that? Let's just say that we're all on time. We got a good show here for you guys. Just give me a second on the tech here. I'm going to set up. You guys know we like to start on real fake news to start the Tuesday show off. So let me just give me a minute here. I'm going to throw this up just so we got the segments, because you guys know how important these segments are, right? So not only and I'm going to try to do 2 things at once here. Okay. So not only are we giving you our live show on Rumble, we keep those lives up. So that means we stand behind all of our work. We have nothing to take, no reason to take anything down. YouTube likes to take our shows down. YouTube likes to take our channels down. But at least Rumble, they're surveillancing us. Okay, that sucks. However, they haven't pulled the plug, and that's good. So we should point out the distinction of the surveillance state, that there is a slight difference between just keeping tabs on us and keeping us in a supercomputer versus pulling the plug. A little different. So we do want to give that acknowledgement to Rumble. And that's why we do keep all of our episodes up. This is our 100th and I think 146th episode, and they're all up on Rumble. But as I was saying about the, we're talking about the segments. The segments are also extremely important because that gives you guys an opportunity to share out what we're doing in shorter increments, not these 4-hour show. Hey, go through the 4-hour show if you want to learn something. No, if you want to engage with people in your space that maybe you've had a fallout with, maybe there's something you're just not connecting on. Certainly this past election season could have sparked more animosity and just kind of distance that we might feel right now. We might be feeling some distance from certain people in our lives. And with that, sometimes you just need that conversation starter. And sometimes you can get that from just a little segment you share. You say, hey, I thought you'd be interested in this. And that's why we do the segments. We'll upload like just a thing on, like we're going to be doing it right now with you guys on Real Fake News. This might be one that you can have a discussion with. We're going to cover this Al-Qaeda and White House. I mean, this is confusing a lot of people. It might be a conversation starter for somebody in your life. So just throwing that out there right now. And I do think we are set now. So let's go ahead and we'll get queued up here for a Real Fake News update. One more thing. We'll be engaging with you too. So if it's your first time on our channel, we will be responding to your comments live on the show on Talking Back. And that's going to be on all of the places we're streaming right now. So that will be Rumble. That's at the Homeless Left on Rumble. That'll be on our new YouTube channel, THL Presents on YouTube. The Homeless Left now comes up in the search, which is awesome. Very cool that they finally acknowledged the channel because we had to start it over from scratch earlier this year. It's doing pretty well. So go ahead and follow that page if you haven't yet. Subscribe to that page would be awesome. We're on 2 different channels on X and the Homeless Left on Facebook. We're still not streaming. For some reason, they're not giving us a chance to stream on the channel yet, but you can find me, the Matt Weinglass, on Facebook. And you can just, if you're a Facebook kind of person, you can do that. Also, just throwing it out, we're on Locals, and that's there for you guys. In case you guys want to help us in other ways, not just sharing it, sharing what we're doing and liking, and we appreciate all that. But however you choose to engage, whatever platform you're the most comfortable with, all good. We appreciate all of it. Let me just set something a little better here. Okay, I think we're good. I'll tell you guys There was a chance we weren't going to even be able to do the show. We had those tech issues. We worked everything out. Very excited. So here we go. Let's start the show. I think we got enough people that have found us now. So at this weird time that we started, I think got enough people in. So let's go ahead and kick things off with a real fake news update. Let's go. It's a real fake news update, not brought to you by Pfizer. We're going to look at the Syrian president. He's a temp president or an acting president that was assigned by the U.S. government, who happens to be an ex-Al-Qaeda leader who happened to have a $10 million bounty on his head as early as just at the beginning of 2025 this year, which was just taken off his head. Now he's an official guest of the White House. Let's see how the Guardian reports on this story. I'm sure they're going to tell you all the details and all the layers that are going on here. But I'd be lying to you if I told you that. No, they're only going to tell you their spin on it. So let's start with that. Here's the Guardian. U.S. declares partial suspension of sanctions on Syria after historic meeting. Ahmed al-Sharar and Donald Trump hold first White House summit between the U.S. and Syrian leader since 1946. I wonder why it's the first meeting. We'll get into that part later, but they're certainly going to be hyping up the first and this incredible moment, which couldn't have been done without the skill of Donald Trump. And make no mistake, all of the media outlets have every opportunity to call out U.S. imperialism and call out the war machine and blame it on Trump if they want to, but none of them are doing it. They're all calling this something very accomplished and something we should be proud of. So that should be your red flag right there. Why are they not, for these outlets that their job has been to make Trump look bad for year after year after year, why are they reporting this as a accomplished moment in U.S. history? Well, let's look further. The U.S. has announced a partial suspension of sanctions on Syria after this historic meeting in D.C. between the new leader and Trump. On Monday, this first summit, which happened at the White House, never had happened since 1946. It's so interesting. 1946, I guess that was before Israel was created, when they first occupied Palestine and started setting a precedent for our Middle East policies. Interesting. I wonder if that's a coincidence or we just happen to not get around to having a meeting since 1946. Okay. So they're calling this, the meeting is part of a remarkable turnaround in U.S.-Syrian relations after the fall of Bashar al-Assad, who had prosecuted a deadly, here we go, there are the lies. He did not do that. He did not prosecute a deadly civil war in the country from 2011 until his forces collapsed in December 2024. It was a coup attempt in 2011, and we failed, and then we tried again in December of last year. We caused the entire thing. We created the entire fake narrative of Assad did chemical weapons on his own people. That was fake. They admitted that. The news outlets had admitted that. So it's funny that the Guardian doesn't want to remind us of that little oopsie that happened there in 2011. And then again, they contrived a story of how we saved everyone there. It was like a 9-day turnaround of ousting Assad and then just fictionalizing the entire account about it, which CNN did a great job of doing because they're usually the first to do that and do a good job. It's theater on it's news. It's theater pretending to be news, but it's just theater. It's like a scripted, right? Okay, so they are mentioning the part about the $10 million bounty on his head. So he arrived in the White House on Monday in a dark suit and a red tie as he sought to lobby Trump for sanction relief for the former pariah state. I love it. I love the characterization here, mischaracterization. Okay. So the U.S. had said it wanted Syria to join a U.S.-led coalition against Islamic State. Well, how are we going to do that unless we control Syria? We have to control Syria to get them to do whatever we want, right? Well, while Syria said that it planned to reopen its embassy in Washington after it was closed more than a decade ago under Assad. Right. So now we can get our policy done on behalf of Israel, which is exactly what the plan is and why we had to switch him out and get him out. And now Assad is actually in Russia right now, being protected by Putin right now. But they didn't care. They just wanted him out. Dead or alive, they wanted him out. And it happened. That announcement was not made on Monday, although Shara says the sides had come to a political agreement. Asked whether further announcements about Syria's joining the coalition against Islamic State or on a security pact with Israel, Trump said, yes, you can expect an announcement on Syria. We want to see Syria become a country that is very successful. And by successful, he means cooperative, right? That's what he actually means. We want cooperation. And so does Netanyahu. So everybody's in alignment of why we needed this guy to be instilled as the new puppet president. Although he's technically a temporary puppet president, but we'll see how well they do spinning it. I think they called it temporary because they wanted breathing room in case the marketing campaign went south. But it doesn't look like it's going south. It looks like everybody's on board for this. Watch CNN's coverage on this. This is pretty fantastic. And if you're a CNN viewer, you're going to believe that something really historic happened. At the same time, you still hate Trump. Isn't that interesting? I still hate Trump. I watch CNN. But you know what? He might have done a good job with this Al-Qaeda leader. Let's see.
Is the lead global security analyst for Washington Post Intelligence, and he joins us now live. Josh, your reaction to this visit, clearly a historic one.
It is a historic day. He's not only the first Syrian president to ever visit the White House, he's the first former terrorist to ever visit the White House and meet with the president. And President Trump
former terrorist. Oh, go on.
Made a what I would say a very bold and somewhat risky decision to support Syria's transition and to support its new leadership after 14 years of war and 54 years of tyranny. And because President Trump decided to do that, that opened up Syria and the president to every other country in the world. And this is, in my opinion, giving Syria the best chance of becoming a successful, stable country in the Middle East. And not only that, it has the best chance of Syria becoming a close friend and ally of the United States and working with us against things like ISIS, as they agreed to do today, which is a pretty big change from the Syria that we knew under Bashar al-Assad, who was a real terrorist and who was best friends with Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah, which is not good.
You predicted we're
best friends with Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah, which is not good. Yeah, and some would say this. Actually, I think it was Fiorella who pointed this out. It might have been possible that one of the big reasons we pushed the Ukraine war was to distract Russia. So they took their eye. So Putin took his eye off the ball because he was the reason primarily that we failed at the coup attempt in 2011 under Obama. And we failed ever since. We couldn't figure, how do we take Syria? We got to take Syria. Remember, it was on the list of the 7 wars in 5 years. We didn't quite make the 5 years, but Wesley Clark, General Wesley Clark, told Amy Goodman and her audience, 7 wars in 5 years. Well, guess what? We have Syria crossed off that box. Now, it took an extra several years, but we did pull it off, and we pulled it off, shockingly, in about 9 days this past December. So anyways, now you're getting a bunch of firsts because we completely control the Syrian government. We wonder, though, why would they put this guy in charge? Why would they do it? How did they defend this? Well, let's look at some of the reactions to this, because the first thing he did before he met Trump is he went to go play basketball with a CIA agent. We're going to see that right here. Okay, so this is a post from Yashar Ali. Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharar has just landed in the U.S. First-time Syrian president, visited the U.S., not part of UNGA. He'll be meeting with Trump this week. So that meeting already happened. But before that, he's playing basketball with the commander of CENTCOM. His name is Brad Cooper. So I'll show you that one in a second. But just for historical context, which you're not going to get from CNN, just 11 months ago, you had the $10 million bounty on his head. 20 years ago, he was held for years at a U.S. military facility at Camp Bucca after being captured by U.S. forces in Iraq during the insurgency. So to say that this is one of the most stunning turnarounds in U.S. diplomatic and counterterrorism history, I believe is an understatement. That is the $10 million bounty. This went out everywhere. They're not going to remind you this on, I mean, they did a throwaway line about it on CNN. They're laughing like, ha, 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 used to be a terrorist, ha, ha, ha. So, but that was real. That really happened. This is the guy. Now he's wearing a black suit and a red tie. He wasn't wearing that suit and tie on this wanted ad that we know. Well, let's see him playing basketball. This is the first thing he did. And he took the jacket off for this. Look at this. So he took the jacket off and put him in the tie. I mean, this guy. It is insane. I mean, this guy, his life story must, there will be a book. There will be a book. But shaking hands with the very people that put a bounty on his head. So who's getting this right? Who's getting it wrong? Well, even some of the people calling out the hypocrisy here of the Trump administration. We know that there's MAGAs that are calling out the hypocrisy, which is important, but they're not going deep enough as far as what the reveal here actually is. What the reveal actually is. So here's Trump being asked about it after the meeting, about the relationship with Syria right now after this meeting. Let's see how he spins it, because he's pretty good at the spinning. Let's see what he has prepared, because he certainly prepped these answers.
Joining the anti-ISIS. Yeah, you can expect some announcements on Syria. We want to see Syria become a country that's very successful, and I think this leader can do it. I really do. I think this leader can do it. And people said he's had a rough past. We've all had rough.
He said people say he's had a rough past. What did he was he a drug addict? Did he have a depression? Did he have a bad upbringing? What do you mean he had a rough past? And people say it. He doesn't. Trump, I don't know about that, but people say it. But we've all been through things, right, guys? So that's pretty genius of him. We've all been through stuff. Let's leave the past alone, right?
Pasts, but he has had a rough past, and I think, frankly, if you didn't have a rough past, you wouldn't have a chance.
If you didn't have a rough past, you wouldn't have a chance. How interesting. What an interesting spin. Any journalist, any quote unquote journalist going to call him out on that answer? No.
He gets along very well with Turkey, with President Erdogan, who's a great leader. Erdogan's a great leader.
Oh, yeah. This is great. Great breakdown. And you expect Trump to do that. That's his job, right? But the bigger story here isn't the way Trump is spinning it. It's the way the media is not holding him accountable. Again, that should be the giveaway. Does it have to be said? I think it does. It has to be said that we already know 100% factually that the U.S. funded Al-Qaeda. The U.S. funded ISIS. The U.S. has created Al-Qaeda. This is something that's been admitted several times over and over. Hillary Clinton admitted this. Barack Obama admitted this. Nobody's denying it. So these news outlets know this. They know this to be true. Yet they leave it out of their stories. They leave it out of their reporting. That's really the giveaway. And I do understand the sentiment on the right. There's a lot of Islamophobia on the right. We get that if you happen to be scared of terrorists, if you happen to think that 19 hijackers did X, Y, and Z with box cutters, if you happen to believe that, you should be, with that mindset, you should be extra furious that Trump has a guy like that in the White House pretending that he just has a rough past, that he wasn't part of what we were told, a terrorist organization that came here to kill us, right? But it's worse than that, because we created the terror. We created these terror groups. This is an Israel ploy, right? This is the Netanyahu funding Hamas. You create the thing, so you're going to create the event and then create justification for the retaliation. So once you're able to connect those dots, you understand that this guy was never actually a threat to us. He was controlled by us the entire time. That's why it doesn't really matter that he's leading Syria right now, because he's always listened to what we tell him to do. That's the big aha. And I wish more on the right would understand that, but at least they're calling out the hypocrisy of having this guy at all, especially during a time when there's so much extra Islamophobia because Mamdani is in office now in New York, and there's so many right-wingers that are petrified of Sharia laws coming. And then to have this meeting, it symbolizes not just a disconnect on the right, a disconnect with the American people, but a disconnect with the media, which isn't the media. It highlights overall that the entire system we live in is all rigged and it's all staged, because none of it actually makes any sense. If you take it seriously, none of it actually makes any sense at all. So let's see what happens on Fox News, because is he going to get any questions here? Well, he does. He gets a few questions. Let's see exactly how they cover al-Shara on Fox News, asking him about the contradiction of what he's about. And unfortunately, I mean, it's good to ask a question, but he has these answers prepared, and you'll see they're designed to make the Fox News audience less afraid, which is what they're doing on Fox right now. Set up the question with a good answer. Now we can rest assured, get a good night's sleep. We're all good. Trump is still America first, 10D chess, blah, blah, blah. Here we go.
Affiliated with Al-Qaeda. Just 11 months ago, you were designated by the U.S. government a foreign terrorist. You were actually on the wanted list. Times have obviously changed. Now you're playing basketball with military leaders here in Washington. You're meeting with President Trump. What has changed in the U.S.-Syria relationship? And then equally importantly, sir, what has changed about you in that time?
We talked about the future, the present, and the past, and so we talked about lifting the sanctions, and there was a decision at the United Nations, at the Security Council, to lift the sanctions on myself and other people as well.
Has President Trump raised with you, discussed with you, your own past affiliation with Al-Qaeda terrorism?
I think this is a matter of the past. Now, we did not discuss this actively. We talked about the president and the future. We talked about the investment opportunities in the future in Syria, and so that Syria is no longer looked at as a security threat. It is now looked at as a geopolitical ally, and it's a place where the United States can have great investments, especially extracting gas.
Yeah, because we captured it. That's why. It's a geopolitical ally because we captured it. Now we control it. You understand how that works, guys? You understand that is American imperialism? That is the Greater Israel Project. That is all of everything we do around Latin America, everything we do in Africa, everything we do in the Middle East. You guys understand that that's what we're talking about here. He's telling us that America can control the region now because we captured it. And he is the puppet that we put in place because he's been listening to what we've told him to do the entire time. Nothing's changed. The only thing that changed is our orders, our instructions to him. Put on a suit and tie. That's really the only difference. Before you go on camera next time, you'll play a different role, but he's still listening to what we tell him to do because we created ISIS and Al-Qaeda from the beginning. Al-Qaeda is a CIA operation. That's what it is. You think the people in the Middle East, these revolutionary terrorists, as we call them, just came up with that name? No, it's a CIA name. It's a CIA. There's a whole backlog file of the creation of Al-Qaeda. We created it. So that should be the big reveal here. Let's see a little bit more he has to say about. He's actually sounding a little like Obama right now. Hey Obama, why aren't you holding Dick Cheney and George W. accountable for crimes against humanity and an illegal war, murdering 1 million Iraqis, and starting an illegal torture program, and starting a Homeland Security surveillance state right here in our country? Why aren't you holding them accountable? And Obama says, well, the way I do my prosecuting is I look forward, not backward. That's what we have to do. We have to look forward, not backward. And he's going to sound just like that. Here we are.
Do, Mr. President, have regrets that Al-Qaeda carried out those attacks that killed 3,000 Americans?
I was only 19 years old, so I was a very young person. And
19. Well, that's fine, dude. Obviously, you don't have you can't have any regrets for that or wish it didn't happen because you were 19. But go ahead.
Didn't have any decision-making power at that time, and I don't have anything to do with it.
You still don't have decision-making power, you moron. You still don't. You're just not 19 anymore, you dumbass. And you guys understand this, right? I don't have any decision. You still don't. You do exactly as you're told to do. So you're going to be asked about whether you have regrets. Of course you don't when you're taking orders from top down. As a lot of military will tell you too, that don't have enough sense to step outside and say, I'm done with this shit. I'm done being controlled by crazy, insane, warmongering people that are telling me what to do, and then me giving the excuse that I was just I was just following orders. So of course, yes, you didn't make decisions. What are we even talking about? Okay, go on.
And Al-Qaeda was not present right then in my area. So you're speaking to the wrong person about this subject. We mourn for every civilian that got killed, and we know that people suffer from the war, especially civilians who pay the price, a hefty price for the war.
Well done. Well done. And again, I want to point out, Fox News might be asking the questions. If CNN isn't, and MSNBC isn't asking the questions, that's fine. But understand that those answers are designed to let the demographic know that watches Fox that are a little more warmongering-ish, a little more, by the way, a little more Islamophobic, right? So they need to be reassured that everything's on the up and up, and him and Trump are make America great, and that's how it is. And that's why he was allowed to go on there, and that's why those questions were allowed to be asked, and those very carefully crafted answers were given back. He was told those answers in advance, and he followed instructions, as he always has. And that's the end of it as far as mainstream media is concerned. Well, let's just get a little more take on Twitter from some people actually doing good job with journalism. Jimmy Dore says the obvious, which needs to be said. White people are freaking out about Mamdani. The president of the U.S. is welcoming to the White House the head of Al-Qaeda from Syria. They're buddies now. The U.S., Israel, and Al-Qaeda are all working together. What? Yep. Feel like a sucker yet? If you're just discovering it now, you might feel like a sucker. But hey, welcome to the show, guys. Grab a bag of popcorn. Sit back. There's still more show to come. More theater coming, guys. All right. Glenn Greenwald. We'll end with this one. This is good. The U.S. fought the war on terror for more than 20 years. It's ongoing. It not only cost trillions of dollars and more than 1 million lives, but radically and permanently eroded core civil liberties for Americans. Now, the DOJ, called an Al-Qaeda terrorist less than a year ago, is welcome to the White House. No word is more meaningless and manipulated than terrorists. And we talk about that on the show all the time. It's a word assigned to the thing that we need to push or not push, or protect, or deflect, or destroy, right? It's only a word, and it's not real. It means nothing. Yet, it is at the center of our discourse and shapes the most potent government powers and laws. Its lack of a fixed meaning is what makes it so useful and so dangerous. And I would add to that, Glenn, anti-Semitism, also very useful. And why not throw a few more in there, right? How about anti-science and conspiracy theorists and white nationalists and all this stuff. Okay, you go on and on with that. But this word, terrorist, absolutely a weaponized word used against us. Good job on that, Glenn. There's the pick. There's the pick. There you go. Make Al-Qaeda great again from combat. Good post there. And that's it. And that's all. That's all it is. Again, you're not going to get this story on any of the mainstream news networks, not the real story, the story we're covering here. And that should do it for this week's A Real Fake News Update, not brought to you by Pfizer. Okay, moving on. Oh, yeah, let me just cover this right now because I know Airways asked about FB. So, yes, okay. So, yes, we put the link up on Facebook, and then the reason it's on Rumble is that we had to move Pasta around, and we might get him on Thursday now. We have a massive show lined up, but Rumble is not anti-pasta. I just want to be clear. Rumble's not anti-pasta. We just wanted to be more accurate about the show. And you guys know we got to update the titles and the segments. We try to update them and make them as make them as accurate as possible. So you guys are getting, we don't like to bait and switch the episode with you guys. So even at the last minute, we try to make, but we couldn't change it on Facebook in time. So that's why it says pasta on Facebook. But no, rest assured, he'll be back with us soon enough. And again, we got more show for you guys right now. Let's go ahead and get to the next segment. We're going to talk shutdown here. Let me grab one more thing. Here we go. Yeah, it's time we cut because we didn't do a full breakdown of this during the 40 days. It was 40 days, guys. 40 effing days of this. But let's get to this. Here we go. Okay, guys. You guys want to talk? Guys want to talk government shutdown? 40 days, right? 40 days, 40 nights. Is it over? Are we done? Whose fault is it? What happened? Or were they all in on it? Let's find out. Let's start with this Politico column. Senate passes shutdown ending deal. The House could clear the package for President Trump's signature by Wednesday. Ooh, so exciting. What happened here? Well, the Senate passed a government funding package Monday night that paves the way for ending the longest shutdown in history. The 60-40 vote came roughly 24 hours after a bipartisan group of rank-and-file senators, in tandem with Majority Leader John Thune, reached an agreement that officially broke a weeks-long partisan stalemate. All right, well, what came out of this? Well, the bipartisan bill still needs to be passed in the House. So to get that signed by Trump, which sounds like it could happen as early as in the next 24 hours or so, Speaker Mike Johnson has advised his members the House could vote as soon as Wednesday. But Senate package puts the federal funding lapse on track to be over by the end of the week. Trump is expected to lean on any potential House GOP holdouts and a cadre of moderate House Democrats could support the plan in a break with party leaders who are still smarting over the failure to secure an extension of expiring Obamacare tax credits, which is the real story here. We'll get to the Obamacare part of this shortly, but let's look at some of the dialogue going on and the spinning of both parties as they pretend that they're still the good guys and the other side's the bad guys. Here's Hakeem Jeffries.
We have waged a battle on behalf of the American people. First of all, Donald Trump and Republicans are the ones who shut the government down. They have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And the American people know it. And that's been the case for 7 consecutive weeks.
We had nothing to do with it. All right. It was all them. We did nothing. We were not using the opportunity to leverage ourselves. Coincidentally, just happened to be an election week last week. Nothing to do with the sort. It was all the Republicans. We had nothing to do with it. Go on.
But at the end of the day, you didn't get what you want. So was it worth waging this fight?
At the end of the day, the fight lives on.
So that's basically a word salad of excuses and just kind of hyping to the camera. So there's that. Let's see Van Jones, who we know what Van Jones has been up to, spearheading the Zionist agenda on CNN and on Bill Maher. He's been up to some no good. Somehow managed to keep his job after being called out by his insane rant he did on Bill Maher a few weeks ago. But here's his take and some more word salad about how Democrats are taking a win right now. Let's hear Van Jones try and present the Democrats won something.
Now Democrats are going to kick each other and tear each other up and be mad at each other. But when the smoke clears for most Americans, something has been proven here. Republicans are just not that into Americans right now. I mean, how much pain were the Republicans willing to let Americans suffer so they didn't have to? They're just not that into you, America. They were willing to let planes fall out the sky. They're willing to let children starve. They're willing to let federal workers get evicted from their houses rather than sit down and cut a deal on health care.
And the Democrats did the same thing. Neither party cares about you. Neither party is is for you. Neither party. Stop pretending it's one of them. It's both of them. It's one big club, and you ain't in it. Well, go ahead. Keep spinning this for us, Jones.
Like everything that David Urban just said is correct. There's a smarter, better way to do health care. And an opportunity was put forward this past 6 weeks to sit down and talk about it. Republicans didn't do it. They were willing, Donald Trump and Republicans were willing to let planes fall out the sky and children starve before they came to the table. So when Democrats get finished beating themselves up, look at the tattoo you just put on the Republican Party. They don't care about your health care. And so I think take the win on this, Democrats, and keep moving. You had 7 million people in the streets. But I'll give you your turn. But you had 7 million people in the streets. That's a good thing. You kicked their butts last week when it comes to the vote. That's a good thing. And you just exposed these guys as not caring about regular Americans. I think that's a good couple of weeks for Democrats, but we're still going to be mad at each other about it for no reason.
A good couple weeks for Democrats. They allowed the shutdown to happen. They didn't play ball. They wanted to hold out on health care. That was the calling card. That's what we know. That's what a lot of people fell for. You had the No Kings. You were able to implement that language into No Kings right before Election Day to let everybody know it's Republicans that don't want you to have health care. How many times do we have to go through this? How many times do we have to go through? Democrats don't want health care either. They just like blaming it on the Republicans so they can keep taking money for it. At least the Republicans don't take money for fixing health care. Democrats do. Give us money. And they only do it when they're not in power. Do you guys notice that? We're going to get to Bernie in a second, but we know the game. Just get out the calendar, and whoever's in charge, if it's the Democrats in charge, you won't hear a peep from Bernie or AOC. Not a peep. When the Republicans are in charge, then you yell and scream about health care. You guys know how this works. If you're just discovering this now, it's not a coincidence that the yelling and screaming only happens when you can't do anything about it. So give us more money so we can get more people in power so we can try and fix healthcare, which we have no intention of doing it because we're beholden to pharma, who donates and gives and elevates all of us, including Bernie Sanders, who we saw very famously defending pharma as he railed against RFK Jr. for questioning. How dare you question the psychopaths that make billions of dollars off of our sick care system? How dare you, RFK? Well, we'll get to Bernie in a second, but here's some of the reactions we've seen from this shutdown scam. It's a big scam. That's what it was. They were both in on it in their own ways. It's not that they all got in a room and had a meeting and said, let's make this work. They did the thing that they do independently on their own, and it worked out in both favor. And guess who suffered? The American people suffered. Okay, here it is. We have James Lee, who says, so the Dems forced a government shutdown, missed paychecks, government employees in bread lines to get food to survive, ACT disruptions, that's healthcare disruptions. It put travelers' lives at risk, basically just so they could win an election. And that's what they did. They destroyed the Republicans in the election day. They destroyed them with running on Republicans don't care about you. We do. And we're going to hold out till we get you health care. Unfortunately, there's nothing in the bill for health care. Nothing actually happened. That's the big reveal, that the Democrats let go once they won those elections, and they had no intention of holding Republicans accountable for health care at all. Nick Cruz, friend of the show. Actually, I think he's coming on Thursday. Well, we're gonna have Nick on here. He just did Jimmy Dore, actually. So very cool, very cool. Nick says, I said this is how the government shutdown was going to end on RBN over a month ago. If you really believe the Dem Party was ever fighting on your behalf, you're a deeply unserious child. These government shutdown fights are just political theater to justify austerity. Idiot progressives fell for it again. That's it, Nick. Now, Shama Swant, who's running for Congress in Seattle, I believe, this is a well thought out response. I think people need to pay attention to this analysis here. Democrats are a dumpster fire of a party. Could it be any more obvious that they don't give a damn about working and poor people? They're ruthless representatives of the wealthy and the bosses as much as the Republicans are. She must be a regular viewer of our show, because this is what we've been saying every single effing week. They carried out a government shutdown as a purely performative gesture. Yes, all theater, claiming that they were standing up for ACA subsidies and the restoration of Medicaid funding, which didn't actually happen. But they held the shutdown just long enough for the 2025 elections to get done. Then they picked a group of senators who are either retiring or not up for re-election in 26 to be the bad guys. That's what it looks like happened. So again, to break this down of who paid the price for this, tens of millions of poor people went through absolute heartache for basic food assistance they lost during the shutdown. TSA workers went 6 weeks without pay, many of them facing evictions because they were unable to pay their rent. And by the way, Trump, we just found this one. I don't have it queued up, but if you guys want to check this out, he's literally saying that Trump is going to give people, TSA workers, a bonus. $10,000 if they toughed it out and worked for free. Bonus. Anyone who did not and went home, he calls them weak and whiny, and he calls them names for not showing up to work for free. Even though, as he says, quote, he says, you knew you were going to get paid eventually. So if you bitched and whined, I'm not recommending pay for you. I'm going to give a I'm going to recommend. Now, recommend doesn't mean it's official, but he's going to recommend a bonus of $10,000. That's what he's doing. $10,000 bonus for anyone who had the means. So this is a class war. He's saying if you had the means to work for free and not get evicted, I will reward you. He's acting like a bank. Isn't that how banks act? Banks reward you if you have money in the bank. I think Louis C.K. did a bit on this. You guys got to check it out. It was like 10, 15 years ago. Louis, before the Me Too, he did this really good bit on ATM, right? You go to the ATM, and if you have no money, they go, oh, I'm sorry, you have no money. So we had to take money from you because you have no money. That's what we did. Well, why did you take money? Well, because you have no money. We have to take money. So now you have less than nothing. Well, oh, look at you. You have money. We'll give you money. Because you have money, we want to give you money. So it's all backwards. And I think the bit ends, or Louis C.K. says something like, I like a homeless person hitting me up. He says, I have nothing, man. I got nothing. Please help me. I have nothing. And Louis C.K. just coming from the ATM says, I'm sorry, man. I wish I could help you. You have nothing. I have less than nothing. And he shows him the ATM receipt. It says I have less than nothing. I had nothing, but then they had to take that away from me. So that's how Trump is behaving right now. He's rewarding people who had the means to work for free and not lose their family and their house and all the other things you lose if you're living paycheck to paycheck. If you didn't go to work during these 40 days, it's not because you're bitching and whining and being lazy. It's because you were looking for another maneuver where you could go do a side hustle, get some money in the account, pay that rent, and then come back to work once you can get paid to get back to work. And you should be promised the back pay as well. That's what people do. They have to maneuver, do little maneuvers when you're broke. Okay? So that's how he's fine. So anyways, back to the rest of this tweet. This part is so important. If you guys want to start a conversation with somebody that is a lifelong Democrat and has no accountability for the party to be anti-worker, anti-healthcare, this is where you should start that conversation. Right here. The Democratic Party had multiple chances to make the Affordable Care Act tax credits permanent when they had Biden in the White House and the majority in both the House and the Senate. And like I told you guys, Bernie was quiet during those times. AOC was quiet. When you have power, then you're quiet. You don't do anything. They could have voted in Medicare for all, but they represented the billionaires and multimillionaires. So, of course, they did not. The Democratic Party is utterly rotten. Working people need a new party of our own, a party whose leaders fight against the bosses and their political goons. And I welcome, this is, Shama Swan, who is running for Congress in Seattle. I hope she's looked at We the People Party. We the People Party is a good option right now for bringing people together and holding elected officials accountable with accountable measures in place, where if you're not doing your job, you're out, and there's a paper trail for everything. That's a new approach to politics. We'll see how much steam We the People can get. We'll continue going that direction, elevating that type of new party like We the People. So look up We the People if you haven't yet. We covered. Jay Scott does great work for the party and is on the show regularly. He'll be on Thursday. We'll probably talk about that again, the healthcare part. Before I end this segment, I told you we got to hear from Bernie. Let's hear from Bernie. Remember, Bernie gets angry when there is no power for the Democrats, and then he's quiet when they have power. So let's hear Bernie get furious about what just happened. Here we go.
8 Democrats voted with the Republicans to allow them to go forward on this continuing resolution. And to my mind, this was a very, very bad vote. What it does, first of all, is it raises healthcare premiums for over 20 million Americans by.
So he's saying it's not even that it stalled out or kicked the can. Some people are saying it kicked the can down the road for healthcare, and they're gonna have to deal with it later and hope the Republicans bring it to the table again. That's bad enough. That's just that alone is bad enough. We're just hoping the Republicans are going to bring it to the table in a month or two. Bernie is saying that as of now, because this bill went through and Trump's going to sign it on Wednesday, he's saying that it's raising people's costs right now, regardless of whether the Republicans pick it up again or not another month from now. That it's already a backstep. It already is a backstep, and this is what everyone voted for.
Doubling, and in some cases tripling or quadrupling. People can't afford that when we're already paying the highest prices in the world for health care. Number 2, it paves the way for 15 million people to be thrown off of Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Studies show that will mean that some 50,000 Americans will die every year unnecessarily. And all of that was done to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1%. As everybody knows, just on Tuesday, we had an election all over this country. And what the election showed is that the American people want us to stand up to Trumpism.
Oh my God, Bernie. When are you going to be honest with us and tell us that America wants better than that? What do you mean Trumpism? the whole system is rigged. You told us this in 2016. You told us this in 2020. The Americans they're not anti-Trumpism. They're anti the system that we're all living in, where you can stand there and tell us that because an election happened, that's the only, I mean, you're telling us that the Democrats did this on purpose. You're not saying it's an accident, right? It sounds like you're saying this was on purpose, that this vote happened on purpose, and it happened at the exact time it happened on purpose. So the American people being against Trumpism is just the first stage of this thing. The American people are against the entire rigged system. You know that. So stop it with your, we have to stop the King Trump and get everything back to normal bullshit. Because that's not changing the system. And you know that. And we'll be right back to 2016. By the way, do you remember who was in office in 2016, guys? When the Bernie campaign started, do you remember? It was Obama. Obama was in office. So how is Bernie starting a campaign again that we're going to fight that was the original fight the oligarchy. It wasn't against Trump. It was against the oligarchy, which you represent and you protect. So this is again another deflection. But he's angry Bernie. People have spoken. No, the people see that it's rigged, and they see the Democrats are doing it on purpose. They don't want to solidify this thing. Why would they? If they wanted to, they would have done it with Biden. We already know this. So stop pretending. This is a Trump problem.
To his war against working class people, to his authoritarianism. That is what the American people wanted. But tonight, that is not what happened. So we've got to go forward, do the best that we can to try to protect working class people, to make sure that the United States not only does not throw people off of health care, but ends the absurdity of being the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to all people.
Yeah, you know what? It is absurd. It's totally absurd. It's totally absurd that you've played this cuck role for the last decade, pretending that you're doing something about it. All you're doing is yelling and screaming when you have no power. That's all you do over and over and over. Bitch and whine, but you don't do anything when you have the power. The Democratic Party has spoken. They do not want Medicare for all. We already know this. You know this. You know that Biden told you. My good friend Biden, I get on the phone with him while he's at the White House with the fireplace going, and we have a little romantic talk together. And he tells me, Biden, my friend Joe, he tells me that if Medicare for all arrives on his desk, he will veto it immediately. He won't even get out of his chair. He'll have his feet up on the cushion like it's on the cushion right now, and he'll veto it without it. He'll say, "Send my auto pen in. Send my auto pen. I'm napping. I'm napping right now." And that's what he told me. So I know 100% that my party is against the thing I'm mad at the Republicans about right now. You son of a bitch, Bernie. You son of a bitch.
A lot of work to do. But to be honest with you, tonight was not a good night. Thank you.
Where's the give me money part? You forgot the give me money. It's too soon? Oh, you're working on, that's the next one. So not a good night is actually a good night. Not a good night for Democrats is actually a good night. It means you can start putting together your new materials. And you guys seen them. You guys know the emails that go out right after a loss. Give us money. Give us $5, $10, please, $10. That's going to help you. Or in Bernie's case, $27. That's going to help us right the wrong, because we just lived through this horrible thing that just happened. It was a horrible thing that just happened. So give me money. I assumed there'd be a money thing at the end of that one, but he's waiting. The next one's going to have the money. Give me money. The emails are getting ready right now. They're ready to blast out. AOC's got one ready to go. Act Blue has one to go. They all got one ready to go. Pelosi has one ready to go. Schumer, if Schumer still has his job, he might be the next one that takes the hit. That would be great. But still, the system will remain, and that's always the case. It's never, they want us to think it's a bad apple. Oh, Schumer can't do his job. Let's get rid of him. Then things will be good. Trump is the king evil. get rid of him and things will be normal and good again. No, the system needs to change, period. That's it. So 40 days, 40 nights. Well, here we are, brave new world, and still no health care. Okay, let's do this. I have another story queued up. I think we can just start right now. But I'm seeing you guys some good reaction here. We'll get to you. I'm going to respond to you guys in talking back. We'll get to this one now. We're going to do this one right now. Okay. Welcome everybody to the Homeless Left. I'm Matt Weinglass. I'll be with you more through the afternoon here. We got a lot more show. If you're just joining us, welcome. Welcome to the Homeless Left. If you're just joining us, thank you for being here with us today. We're going one-on-one today, guys. We're going one-on-one. All of our guests are booked for Thursday. Thursday is going to be an incredible show, guys. I'll tell you about it later. If you haven't heard yet, I told you at the top. I'll repeat it later. But we have some incredible people coming on. It's going to be a marathon, and we're going to start late again. We're going to start at 1 p.m. Pacific again on Thursday. Not for technical reasons. Today was a problem with AT&T. If any of you guys have AT&T for internet, know this. They can just turn your shit off anytime and say it was technical problems. We're working on it. We'll get right back to you. We're really sorry, sir. We're really sorry. We're working on it. Oh, yeah. Are you sorry? I'm in the middle of a live show, which I wasn't. Thank God. Thank God. Oh, man. But we had to delay an hour. But yeah, watch out if you are AT&T. Watch out because they will have a technical problem that's nothing to do with your house. But it's a neighborhood issue. We're looking into it. We can't tell you what it is or when your internet will be back up. But just hold tight. We'll send you a text when it's ready to go. Okay, great. I'll tell all my guests the same thing. When they come on with us, I'll do that. I'll tell my ex-CIA whistleblowers that are coming on Thursday with us. By the way, that's going to be a great show. We're going to have and these are NSA guys. It's Ray McGovern and Bill Binney. Both are going to come on. We're going to talk about the surveillance state. Yeah, I'll just let them know why the internet went out in the middle of our live. So AT&T customers, watch out. These guys are ruthless, man. They're ruthless. They don't have an answer. They can say sorry 1,000 times. Anyways, enough of that. We're here. We're doing it. We're ready for the next segment. Here we go. Okay. The story is this. Kash Patel. 1 strike, 2 strike, 3 strike, 4 strikes. How many strikes does he get till he's out? Well, whatever strike we're up to with him, apparently his girlfriend, Kash Patel's girlfriend, has now filed a $5 million lawsuit against none other than a podcaster who happens to be calling out Israel. Well, how about that? The FBI director pushes a lawsuit against a podcaster for $5 million. That seems like it should concern everyone, and it should. Let's look at the coverage from the Gray Zone, who broke this down. Excellent job by Max Blumenthal. By the way, here we go. Okay. Kash Patel's girlfriend files a $5 million lawsuit. It's against podcaster for a quote-unquote insinuation she's a Mossad honeypot. Right? That's the language, that's the insinuation. But did the podcaster use this language? Well, even just according to the breakdown, apparently not, because it's an insinuation of language, and we know how that works. But let's see what actually went down here. Okay, mired in scandal over his leadership, which we know. The FBI director is lashing out against MAGA influencers for mocking his girlfriend as a Mossad honeypot and activating his legal network to slap them with frivolous multi-million-dollar lawsuits. The win was that Kash Patel's back in the early months of 2023. It was during this period that the Trump-aligned legal operative met Alexis Wilkins. She was 24 years old, a wannabe, I love this language, wannabe country music star who would then become his girlfriend, and launched his foundation called Fight with Kash, which pledged to unite America First patriots to fight the deep state. Ooh, how's that fighting coming along there, Cash? Captain Cash? How's that fight going? Okay. Well, the disgustingly baseless attacks against Alexis, a true patriot and the woman I'm proud to call my partner in life, are beyond pathetic. Patel, he complained on a Twitter post. This was back about a week and a half ago, November 2nd. Attacking her isn't just wrong, it's cowardly and jeopardizes our safety. Really? Really? Our safety? Interesting. Well, I'm sure these attacks must be really like, they must be violent words or violence, right? They must be like threatening her life. I'm sure they're really, really bad for the FBI to get involved, right? Well, 5 days earlier, the law firm of Jesse Banal, Patel's personal lawyer and chair of his foundation, filed a bizarre lawsuit. We didn't hear about this lawsuit till last night, but apparently it was filed before he went off on Twitter on November 2nd. So we're just getting this news now. But the lawsuit, as the Gray Zone says, was bizarre, was accusing right-wing podcaster Elijah Schaffer for having perpetrated a malicious lie about Alexis Wilkins, falsely claiming that she, an American-born country singer, is an agent of a foreign government assigned to manipulate and compromise the director. Cash says, I don't need anybody to manipulate and control me, compromise me. I can do it on my own. I don't need a girl to do that for me. How dare you? How dare you? Well, the suit also took aim at Schaffer because he, quote, frequently posts anti-Israel rhetoric, accusing Israel of controlling the U.S. and its politicians. Well, what kind of baseless claim is that? I mean, you should really make an example out of him, right? Banal did not respond to a request for comment from the Gray Zone, which they wanted to talk to the attorney. He doesn't want to talk to the Gray Zone. Of course he doesn't. Of course he has other things to do. Okay. So this was in the actual lawsuit, which Gray Zone got their hands on and is showing to us that on item 17, article 17, defendant frequently posts anti-Israel rhetoric. Okay. Well, give us an example. Well, this is the example that they give in the lawsuit. I kid you not. This is it. Let's look at the post below from disclose.tv. It says new. This is from June 13th. So they're picking this from the summer. Israeli officials say Trump approved the Iran attack. We had a clear U.S. green light. Adding reports of Trump restraining Israel were planted to deceive, while Trump and Netanyahu coordinated the attack in private, and that was from Axios. So this is officially being revealed on June 13th. And what does a good podcaster / indie media journalist do? They retweet the tweet and they quote tweet it. And this is what he said. And this is in a lawsuit that this is criminal. Okay. Trump doesn't want to admit that Netanyahu doesn't fear him. Israel has more control over the USA than we do over them. Our politicians are hook, line, and sinker sold out to the Jewish state regime. It's genuinely disheartening. We must remove these parasites from AIPAC. Well, if you disagree with that, why don't you engage in a debate and talk about how you think that Netanyahu is afraid? Okay, have an honest debate about that. If Cash, is that your take? You think Netanyahu is afraid of Trump? We know some people here that think Netanyahu is afraid of Trump. But he's not. I happen to agree with Elijah on this one, but still, it's just a debate. It's not anyone, nobody's doing anything illegal or criminal or that's worthy of a $5 million lawsuit. Are you effing kidding me? And here he is responding. Elijah Schaffer responds, I was just sued for $5 million over my ex posts criticizing Israel by FBI Director Kash Patel's inner circle. I've never engaged in defamation or illegal activity. Gross lawfare. This is an attack on free speech and an embarrassment to the FBI and Trump admin. Here is my response. You ready? He's going to do a good job. If you haven't heard of this guy, Schaffer, Elijah Schaffer, now's a good time to pay attention because he definitely breaks this down very articulately. Here we go.
And I received concerning news that I was being sued for $5 million by Kash Patel's girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins. And the reason why might actually shock you. About a couple months ago, I posted this photo on the public social media platform X. I posted it with no caption, no suggestions of any malintent or any slander, defamation, or criticisms of character. I did so attached to an X post shared by another account that I'm not connected to that talked about government agents being compromised. Now Alexis Wilkins is saying that I owe her $5 million for damages, the exact evaluation of my company, and if I cannot come up with that money, that I'm going to have to shut down my business, give up all of my digital assets and my entire voice online in order to pay her back. So why does Kash Patel's girlfriend want to silence me? Well, it comes down to the lawsuit itself. Before anyone jumps to conclusions and says, well, don't say that she's a honeypot, I'd like to say, I never did. I never would. I never felt like suggesting that, never even suggested that.
I'll say it. She's a honeypot. That's my analysis. I don't have 100% proof, but that would be my analysis. At this point, seems like it. Seems like it to me. So I guess I should be expecting a $5 million lawsuit next. I'll be looking forward to it. But yeah, go ahead. If he didn't actually say it, that's even kind of worse. Isn't that insane that he didn't even say the thing? He didn't even do the thing. Wow.
In my own head. So why am I being sued for something I never did? To give proof of that, in section 14 of the lawsuit, it states, while the defendant may not have included any caption to spell out the meaning of his post, he didn't have to. Ever since Kash Patel was appointed as director of the FBI in February of 2025, the conspiratorial corners of the internet and social media have been spreading false narratives about Miss Wilkins as an Israeli Mossad agent, spy, or quote, honeypot, who is only in the relationship with Kash Patel to spy on and manipulate the United States government. Defendant's wordless reply, it goes on to say. So to clarify, before we go any further, if you post a public photo of a government official and his romantic partner, who he's not married to, a very important fact we'll talk about, you as a private citizen or a member of the press can be bankrupted, have your entire company shut down, or completely mocked, slandered, and dragged through lawfare because of what? Because of your First Amendment protected rights.
Wow. Wow. And he's got it right there. This is 100% accurate on the nose. And of course, we're not getting too many other people that haven't been involved, unless you're involved in this discussion. If you've been involved in the Charlie Kirk investigation and you're involved in the previously the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, if you've actually been doing the work and the research and understanding how this propaganda machine works, how this FBI controlled entity that Kash Patel was handpicked to be the puppet to pretend to go after the deep state. If you haven't been following that, then you're going to miss this story altogether. And you're not going to understand that what he's talking about, what Elijah's talking about here, we should all be concerned about. And you don't even have to know the details of Epstein, and you don't have to know the details of Charlie Kirk. What you do need to know is this is how taking a free speech works. It might be against somebody you don't give a shit about or don't like, or it's not your problem. Eventually, it will become your problem. So this should be everyone's problem, that an FBI director is capable of doing this. And even that the lawsuit exists, whether or not it goes the distance or not, the fact that it's been filed, what does that say about our FBI? What does that say about, well, we already know this. We know this, but we need more people to wake up from this. And I want to remind you, and whether we're halfway paying attention or not, you should, most people agree at this point. It's hard to find someone who doesn't understand how bad of a job Kash Patel is doing. Even if you think Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk, even if you think that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, even if you think that there is no list and it was a Democratic hoax, or even if you're a Democrat and think that the only reason we don't have the Epstein list is because Trump's on there and that's the only reason, nothing to do with the Mossad. Even if you don't understand the stuff that Trump ran on, that he was going to have transparency, and the stuff that Kash Patel was gleefully talking about going into the job, that he was going to be the guy that shows us JFK files, shows us 9/11. Everything was going to be exposed. But now he's got, what does he have? Fake text chains coming out about Charlie Kirk's apparent killer and his fake lover. What else does he have? Gag orders against people who can't talk about it. And now this Mossad-y, I'll call her Mossad-y girlfriend, suing influencers, suing podcasters. This guy has got a string of problems. But here's a reminder of something he said. This was shared out. I just want to remind you. He said this a few months ago. And watch this guy. Why does he always sniff? Why does he always do this? What is that? Like, I know we make fun of Zelensky and the people that look like they have major cocaine problems. I don't even know if this is I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's a cocaine problem, but it might be a tell, like a mental defective element in his brain that when he's about to lie, how everybody has a little quirky thing they do. Poker players know how to do this. You find the thing, the little twitch, the little thing that they do. Go watch Rounders. John Malkovich, the poker player you couldn't beat. Matt Damon figured out how to beat him. It's the way he ate the Oreo. If he had a good hand, the good hold cards, the way he either took the Oreo off, he either ate the black part by itself or he ate the filling. There was something he did, and Matt Damon discovered, oh, that's when he's bluffing. So I think there's something about the sniffing. I don't know. It doesn't look like a cocaine issue like Zelensky. It looks like, but you guys chime in on it. But here's Kash, and he's always sweating bullets, deer in headlights. But this is the transparency we're not getting at all.
The answer, in my opinion, is social media is wildly out of control, and there's too much clickbait in this country. And one of the things I highlighted at Congress in my testimony last week was, if we want to protect our youth, we got to get more involved in social media and online platforms, because that's where the folks, the assassins of this world, get radicalized. That's where they're the lone wolf actors in general. And so we have to get after that problem set. And I asked for Congress' help in doing so. But speaking of Charlie Kirk, who was a very dear friend of mine, and then I was tasked with leading the nationwide man.
A very dear friend of mine. Was he? Or what is that? I don't know. I can't handle the sniffing. It's so weird. It's so weird.
Hunt to find the perpetrators involved. Of course, we were going to use every resource we have to find every single person involved, and the investigation's still ongoing. But we, as one of the pillars of my leadership here at the FBI, is transparency.
Ha 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 ha! One of your pillars. You mean one of the things that was thrown in the garbage? That's what you mean. The garbage, that area. Where's the garbage? Where's the garbage section, Kash? What did you? Oh, you threw transparency in the freaking garbage. Got it.
We've produced more documents to Congress than my last two predecessors combined by twofold. Just to put it in perspective. So when we take our investigations out to the streets, I have the same ethos. And this is how we got Charlie Kirk's assassin.
They took it to the streets. Kash Patel took it to the streets. Yeah. That's how you got it. That's how you got Tyler Robinson. Yeah.
Alleged assassin so fast. The Boston Marathon bomber, which happened in downtown Boston.
Another psyop, but go ahead.
During the Boston Marathon, took 5 days, and there was a police officer was killed in that manhunt. Luigi Mangione, who allegedly murdered an individual, the CEO of the healthcare company, in downtown Manhattan in broad daylight.
Allegedly. Where's that? How's that trial going, by the way? How's that one going? The guy that went to McDonald's and ordered a Big Mac. Is that funny? They always end up at a fast food. We got him. They did the murder, and then they went to a fast food joint to change clothes and write manifestos and look into surveillance cameras and tell people, I'm here. Take me. Oopsie daisy. So funny that you bring up Luigi on top. I should add Luigi to the list because we ain't getting that trial either. That's not how. It's so bizarre. So bizarre.
It took 5 days to find him. Our investigation is very much ongoing. But we've also, Armstrong, in an unusual thing, put out publicly more information as to what we found because it is.
More information. I have more information for you.
Of such public importance. The flip side of that is the social media people get involved and they come run with their crazy conspiracy theories because it makes them.
There we go. We love it when the FBI director calls us crazy conspiracy theorists. We love it. That means that you're on the up and up and you're really looking into things. When you like to bash people that want to dig and find answers. Love it. Love the name calling, dude. Love it.
Money. It gives them clickbait. And I don't work for them, and I don't respond to them. My duty is to the American people.
Wait, but people on social media are the American people, but you only work for the ones that agree with you, that don't call you out, that don't hold you accountable. Yeah, sounds like that's what you're saying there, Cash. You only work for the people that don't hold you accountable. Got it.
If there was anyone else involved in Charlie Kirk's murder, you can look at our record. We'll find them and we'll get them.
Oh, you'll find them and you'll get them. Oh, then I'm sure you're questioning Netanyahu right now. You got him in a back room right now, asking him why he was the first one to report on Charlie Kirk's assassination. He was the first one to report that he died. Very interesting. Very interesting. Why don't you tell us how that interrogation is going, or how that mural got up in Tel Aviv immediately, within hours, a mural to Charlie Kirk, or whether this letter that took weeks to come out seemed to be a cherry-picking letter that didn't have a timestamp. Oh man, the list is so, you guys know the list. There's so many things. But yeah, Kash Patel crossing the line now with his girlfriend, his wannabe, as Max Blumenthal in the Gray Zone said, the wannabe country music star, is angry that she is being considered any sort of an insinuation that she might be a honeypot for the Mossad, with an incredible backstory that, by the way, that links her to the Mossad. But hey, I'm not telling you that. I'm just reporting that other people are telling you that. But you can slap us with a lawsuit too. Actually, that might be good for engagement. Go ahead. I'll call her a honeypot right now. Mossad honeypot. You heard me, Cash? Go grab us a $5 million lawsuit, and it might actually help us with some more engagement. Can't wait. Okay, we'll be waiting. We'll be waiting. The knock on the door in the service. I'll be waiting for it. Yes. Can't wait. Okay. Moving on. Yeah, that was a funny one. Okay. We're going to do, there's another MAGA problem here that needs to be addressed. Interesting developments. We've had some interesting developments in MAGA town, and since we're on the subject, and I'm going to remind everybody, as the title of today's show says, it's one big club and you ain't in it. So when we see people on the right going at each other and calling out the people they voted for in real time, that's good. I think that's a good thing. I think it's a separate conversation if we want to talk about who is controlled opposition, who's captured, what are they allowed to say, what are they not. That's a very important conversation to have too, and we can talk about that when it comes to Tucker. We can talk about that when it comes to Nick Fuentes. We can talk about that when it comes to Candace. Absolutely. However, the fact that the conversations are happening at all is good. The fact that Candace, Tucker, Nick bring up stuff that's important for us to be critical about is good. And then we can take that information and do what we want to do with it, because we're not controlled. We're not captured. I have yet to get a Zell from any military operation of any sort, let alone a Mossad or a CIA or a FBI check, let alone a Pfizer check. I haven't got any check of anything. So when that comes in, you'll notice, because we'll be changing our show tune. And then you guys can call us out and say, hey, Matt, that's interesting that you're only talking about certain things now. Why is that? Also, it looks like you have this incredibly lavish studio now. Where did you get that? So those are things you guys can have every right to ask us when the checks start coming in. But in the meantime, we're going to be honest with this work and give credit when credit's due. With that said, it's important to look at the ramifications and the results of the fact that everybody's going at each other on the right. We covered the Republican Jewish Coalition Summit about 2 weeks ago, and that entire summit was designed to target and shame and threaten anybody on the right that wasn't in line with the Zionist agenda. That's what that event was. Mark Levin was a big speaker there. You had Lindsey Graham. You had a bunch of other people they pulled out of the woodwork. You had Floyd Mayweather Jr. there. So you had people there. it didn't go as well as they thought. We still, there's the reactions to that were not what they hoped for. We know that Tucker has doubled down. We know Nick Fuentes has doubled down. Fuentes has challenged Ben Shapiro to a debate, who it doesn't look like Shapiro wants to have that debate. We said on the show last week, we thought it would be a lot more productive if Tucker Carlson had a debate with Ben Shapiro. So all that, none of that has come to be, but we did see something weird happen. Let's start with this. This is Ted Cruz still trying to, I want to say damage control, but he's still trying to uplift the narrative from that RJC summit as he's talking to Mark Levin on his show about anti-Semitism and why it's a major problem on the right.
In the last 6 months, I have seen more anti-Semitism on the right than at any time in my lifetime. It is rising on the right, and it is dangerous. And if we look away, if we refuse to denounce it, if we are scared of it, it could destroy the Republican Party just like it has destroyed the Democrat Party. I think we have an obligation to stand up, to speak out. Many elected Republicans are terrified to say anything. And I think this is a moment where everyone decides, where do you stand? Are you willing to stand up and speak the truth? And it is going to matter in the coming years whether our party and even more fundamentally our country survives.
So that's the language they're going to continue to double down on. Whether they're mentioning the people by name or not, we know who he's referring to. We know he's talking about Tucker. We know he's talking about Candace. We know he's talking about Nick Fuentes. Those are the people he's talking about. So they're not going to let up on that. They're actively going after the people who campaigned on Trump, gave money to Trump, put their name in all of their millions and millions of followers they put behind Trump. Candace Owen recently said that she regrets telling people to vote for Trump. Highly commendable. She said that. Highly commendable. I can't think of one person on the left who said after just 1 year of Biden in office, said, I regret to have told my people to vote for that deranged, senile warmonger who started a proxy war in Ukraine, said F you to the labor movement, destroyed labor strikes like the railroad strikes, gave an FU to the student loan people that he represented, said did an FU to women's rights, and of course started funding a genocide in Gaza and put Israel first. So not to mention the censorship and the lockdowns and the destroying of free speech and the forced vaccinations and bodily autonomy out the window. It's so interesting that we knew all that about Biden 1 year in. Isn't that interesting? We knew all of that about Biden 1 year in, and nobody on the left that voted for him. Now, people that didn't vote for him like us, we were loud about it. But I'm talking about people who campaigned for him, people who told their followers, millions of followers, to vote for him. Nobody spoke up. So again, I'm going to double down and say Candace, Tucker, Fuentes, I'm going to say particularly Candace, who has the courage to say, I effed up. I regret telling my followers to vote for that guy. Very commendable. We give her props for that. This is Candace doubling down after an interviewer tries to see if they can tip her because she is being attacked right now on a very large scale. Here's Candace not giving an F about any of it. What courage she's showing right here.
That sounds like you're saying Jews. Does the word they mean Jews? When you're talking about Jews, yes. But if I'm not talking about Jews, then they doesn't mean Jews. When I say they want us to believe this or they want us to believe that and you hear Jews, that's your own derangement, right? If I want to say something about Jews, I'll say it. If I want to say something about Israel, I will say it. If I want to say Jews, I will say Jews. I don't fear saying Jews. When I say Zionists run the media, I mean Zionists run the media. People that support the political ideology of Israel run the media. Any other things that I can help clarify?
But are you familiar with this like very long-standing trope?
Couldn't give a shit about a trope.
That's good. That's good. I like that. That's very good. Very good. Well, look, there is some breakdown happening when you have Candace just as vocal as ever. She's not taking any step back. We did notice that Tucker took a little step back. He looked a little like he was very affected by that RJC summit. He was very affected. So he was like, "Oh, I got to apologize to anyone who's going to kill me. Let me apologize to all the potential assassins, because we know the Mossad loves having hit lists. They have a massive track record. You guys should look it up on Wikipedia. They actually list all of the assassins that occurred. Even there's been like 100 of them. Even in this decade, the last 10 years alone, there's been like 100 of them just listed there. You guys can check that out. We might do a story on that part actually at one point. But there is some breakdown happening. I think the tide is turning on Israel, and I think the people that have been championing it, I think Ben Shapiro is going to be the last. He's going to go down with the ship, but there's others that are looking like they're having to maneuver a little bit. One particular I wanted to point out, I thought this was going to be a fake out tweet. I didn't realize that she was serious about it, but it's worth mentioning it, and we'll break this one down. This was a big deal yesterday. Laura Loomer tweeted out, to sum it up, Laura Loomer tweeted out that she wants to defund Israel. Shocking words coming from her. Shocking words. Let's see. This is the tweet. After spending this last week in Israel and along the Syrian border, I've reached a firm conclusion. Israel must end its dependence on U.S. aid, and the U.S. must end all aid to Israel. Where is she going with this? This is interesting. Why the maneuver here, Laura? Let's see. I truly hope by the end of the Trump administration and by the beginning of a new administration in 2028 that we see zero aid flowing to Israel. U.S. taxpayers currently send $3.8 billion annually to Israel. Well, okay, that's not accurate. We've sent far more than that, especially since October 7th. We're closer to the 40-50 billion at this point, extra, not additional. We're talking additional funds. So she's not mentioning the additional funds, but that's our standard. That's our standard amount, 3.8 billion. But we have to do extra money because of October 7th, right? Because we condemn Hamas, right? So she leaves that out. But anyways, she's saying let's not do that anymore. And in return, we get roughly 48 billion back through defense contracts. Now, this number is also skewed. It's not real. That's not true. But she's saying there are defense contracts, that's for sure. Pharmaceuticals and technology, the math is clear, but the military aid itself serves as a golden handcuffs on Israel and a constant source of agitation for Americans that has manifested into a distraction from domestic policy. Even though our investment directly serves the interests of no, it doesn't. But okay, our interests of U.S. national security through counterterrorism. No, we create the terrorism, and then we have excuses to do more terror. But okay. We'll give you, okay, let's say there's counterterrorism that we're benefiting from, which we're not, and the shared intelligence in the Middle East, which we don't really need, we don't care about, because we don't need to be aligned with a genocidal, psychotic country illegally occupying the people and in a apartheid state, ethno state that wants more and more land because it wants to follow their scripture and chosen people, all that. So you guys know that, all that. But what Laura Loomer's doing here is she's acknowledging the problem of being the supporter of this in principle. She's recognizing that part, not because it's wrong what Israel does, but because it ties us to them and makes Americans upset, especially right-wingers who are absolutely against giving handouts to people, right? So why is it that we've been giving Israelis free healthcare this entire time? How interesting. So maybe she's understanding that part of the puzzle now. Maybe she's understanding that that's a hypocritical stance to take when you've been actively fighting against Democrats that want to give handouts to everyone. But the entire time we've been giving housing and trips and healthcare and all sorts of subsidies. If you sign up for Israel, if you convert to Judaism, You move over on the taxpayer dime, not the Israeli taxpayer, the U.S. taxpayer. So she understands that that is a contradiction and a cord that needs to be cut. Okay. Even though she thinks that they help us with intelligence and, counterterrorism. Okay. True America First policy means we stop dictating to a sovereign nation how to run its government and military, and that we stop telling Israel how to respond to Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah. Interesting coming from Laura Loomer right now. Cut the U.S. aid. Israel becomes fully sovereign. America First means we don't tell other countries how to govern or how to neutralize threats. America First means we don't get to tell Israel not to eradicate Hamas. Well, we don't get to tell them anyway. They get to do whatever they want, by the way. But it would be them on their own. I think that's a point she's making. Even in her delusional Zionist psychotic assessment of what's actually happening in the Middle East, she's recognizing that there's this unnecessary tie that actually is hurting our country, having that tie. Interesting. It means we don't get to tell Mossad to not kill the Ayatollah when he's hiding in a bunker. America First means the U.S. no longer gets to dictate to Israel how they manage their nuclear arsenal. Well, guess what, Laura? We never got to do that anyways, because when we did, they punished us for it. When JFK said, we want to manage your nuclear arsenal, please be transparent about your nukes, and please register your foreign lobby, the American Zionists, which later became AIPAC, please register it as a foreign lobby. So I like how she says, we no longer get to dictate. Well, our own president in 1963 did not get to dictate. He was taught a lesson for attempting to dictate those things. So however you look at it, if you think we had any power in this situation before, what you're saying, Laura, is let's not have that association anymore. Let them do whatever the F they want to do. That's a powerful statement coming from her. Now, of course, there's pushback from this because we know she's still a Zionist. I think this guy, he summed it up very, very well with this response. This one got a lot of engagement, and I want to read this one because this is basically where I feel we kind of fall in this. I'm sorry, there's a little more of her tweet first. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. America First means liberation from being a global babysitter. Once the aid to Israel ends, the Pentagon's leash comes off. Israel's wars becomes Israel's wars. In theory, yeah, that would work, except they are 100% dependent on us. So they actually couldn't. So Laura, I hate to burst your bubble. They actually couldn't do any of this without us. Somebody has to take the loan, right? Somebody has to create the debt for them. That's us. We are the ultimate debt creators. We create it more than anyone. And so we have no problem on the leash on the banks that own our country. We have no problem going into more debt, writing, as RFK Jr. famously said on October 8th, 2023, RFK Jr. told the world on a tweet that Netanyahu gets a blank check. So that blank check is 100% needed. And if you cut it off, Laura, they can't actually do the things they're doing. But hey, appreciate the sentiment about cutting them off, right? So we lose the leverage to urge restraint on bombing Iran or eradicating Hamas. Well, we don't have leverage anyways, because there's all these laws saying it's a crime to do that. And we get deplatformed and we get punished and we get suspended and we get expelled and we get deported and we get banned on social media and we get beaten and we get humiliated and we get bullied and we get smeared. We get fired. Did I cover everything? But apparently Laura Loomer thinks we have leverage right now to urge restraint. But okay, let's go with that. Okay. But by cutting the cord, she's saying we lose the ability to tell Israel to not enter Gaza because we had the ability to tell them before. I didn't see that. Otherwise, we would have not done it, right? We would have said, don't do that. We're not sending you bombs. We're not sending you money. But no, we didn't actually get to do that. But apparently we lose the ability officially to tell Israel not to neutralize Hezbollah. Yes, we'll forfeit that 48 billion. It's not 48 billion. You just make that number's made up. And return our 3.8 billion. Again, not a real number. That's the standard amount. That's not the excess amount. We've paid multiply more billions since the 3.8. That is every year. We've paid at least 40, 50 billion more. You know this because you were every time that Biden kept giving more money, that was additionally from the 3.8. This is what the blank check was about, Laura. You know this. You know that the 3.8 is just the base pay. You know this. Americans will no longer have a scapegoat to blame for every domestic problem. In the end, it's a win-win. Okay, however you want to come to that final conclusion, however you got there in your twisted Zionist logic, you got to the part where we say, let's cut the cord. So that is good, I guess. But this kind of sums up a nice response here. Oh, there's the picture. There she is. Her little trip where she bonded with Israelis and she bonded with people on the border of Syria, which is now controlled by the U.S. and Israel. By the way, that's the whole thing. That's like the expansion of the Greater Israel Project is still underway. It hasn't stopped. Here's the response I was looking for. Here we go. Joel Rayner. This is great. This is a great response. Well, bravo, Miss Loomer. After a week abroad and a few selfies near a war zone, you've solved Middle Eastern geopolitics with all the precision of a drunken performing brain surgery with a butter knife. Nice. Your grand proposal to end U.S. aid to Israel so that Israel may commit war crimes with greater efficiency is, I must say, a masterstroke of moral gymnastics. Why settle for complicity when you can have plausible deniability? Love the rant. Love the rant. One can almost hear the future historians. It was at this moment that America decided the best way to promote peace was to remove the last remaining safety catch from its favorite machine gun. And this 48 billion return you speak of, marvelous. I'm sure the widows, orphans, and taxpayers alike would be comforted to know that genocide, while ghastly, remains such a splendid investment opportunity. In short, Laura, your vision of sovereignty is like a toddler with scissors declaring independence from the nanny. It will no doubt end in tears, mostly someone else's. But hey, listen, I will go further. And again, that was a great response, but I will go even further and just double down on the part that they can't actually do this without us. They can't do it without us. They need us. That's why they have to capture all our politicians and capture our government, capture our media. If you could do it without us, you would do it without us. Do you guys understand that part? You need us. You need us to be infiltrated at all levels, from media to entertainment to the banks. Obviously, the banks, that's the whole point, that we go into debt by the same banking families that then own us, but we write the check to you. So you need all of that to work perfectly for Greater Israel Project to happen. So regardless of what happens here, I'm saying this is not going to happen, and it's not about it going to happen. Just because Laura Loomer says it on a tweet doesn't mean anything other than the fact she said it. And that's good. Still has millions of people listening to her. So this is good that it was said, but it can't actually happen. It's not going to happen. Israel will eventually fall, but it's not going to be because we, cut off turned off the knob, the unlimited water fountain of money, as RFK Jr. once declared. Unlimited funds, right? Blank check to Netanyahu. They're going to fail because they're going to fail. And then after that, we will then no longer be paying for what we're paying for. But we don't just get to stop paying. That's not a thing. Not when our entire government is captured by AIPAC. And, even the ADL is still up to it, still pushing laws in Congress to make our pushback on this illegal, pushing laws to make social media companies paying massive fines to allow us on here talking about this. So that's still a thing. So no, I don't think this is going to happen. I do appreciate that Laura Loomer decided to put that out for whatever reason. And it might just be she put it out because she sees that the end is near, right? The end is nigh, right? That Israel has only so long of a clock that is ticking, that maybe a disassociation with them now, and maybe with her that she could say, hey, I said that. I said we should cut off. So maybe she's just putting herself in the position where she could say she said it. And that's probably what's happening here. But yeah, interesting developments. Interesting developments. And one more thing. I told you earlier that Ben Shapiro was doubling down. You know, he's not letting up, but he's also showing cracks in the dam, because I just want to show this clip of he was on with Charlemagne, and this the topic of reparations came up, and I just thought this was really interesting timing that this conversation was happening at the same time Laura Loomer is saying, let's cut off aid to Israel. And Ben Shapiro is hit by this reparations analogy that he seems to stutter through. Check it out.
On a sort of public policy level, reparative policies don't tend to be nearly as effective as people want them to be, historically speaking.
They work for Jewish people.
In what way?
Jewish people have received reparations.
You mean Holocaust reparations, for example, from Germany? So I think that first of all, that there was like a gigantic fight actually in Israel.
They got but I just said that reparations don't ever work, and then you reminded me about Germany paying reparations to the Jews, and I just there were people saying they shouldn't have done it. Okay, go on.
Over whether Holocaust survivors should accept reparations from Germany, because the idea was that it's allowing them to expiate their sins of the past, and they shouldn't be allowed to expiate those sins, and it's allowing them to sort of buy off the history for 50 grand or whatever it is. But that is not the reason why Israel has become successful economically. Like, just on a success level, the reality is that cutting people checks rarely makes them more successful from the government. What usually makes people more successful is a determined attempt to become the things that the meritocracy demands of you.
So after making this is incredible. This is incredible. So after making the point, after Ben Shapiro makes the point that reparations don't elevate people because they're dependent on a payoff, and their mindset is bad at that point, and they don't want to put the pedal to the metal and make their life work and make their families work and get through the hard times. Oh, in the case of Israel, yeah, there are people that didn't want Germany, and then but yeah, they got the money, but that has nothing to do with why Israel was successful independently. Wait, I thought you just said getting reparations hurts people. So now you have to make the argument that those reparations hurt Holocaust survivors, right? At the same time, you said that there was another reason they were so successful, not because of that. So they were hurt by that. So you're saying they shouldn't have gotten those reparations from Germany. And by the way, we're talking reparations. What is the $3.8 billion that Laura Loomer admits to? That base amount, that minimal amount we pay. What does that go to? Iron Dome. What else does it go to? Healthcare, right? Housing, right? Some sort of UBI they get. They can submit to their own government when they're there. Oh, we're having a hard time. You don't have to work. You don't want to work? Just submit some paperwork. The government will pay. That's how it works in Israel. All that is our money. So Ben Shapiro has to maneuver out of this. But yeah, keep telling us how, don't pay attention to the Germany money behind the curtain. Don't pay attention to that.
Right, so there were no long
I do
scale.
think the U.S. foreign assistance for Israel has helped financially.
Well, I mean, the U.S. foreign assistance for Israel actually is a bargain for the United States, because Israel doesn't need the money. I've said this before.
Well,
Israel,
give it to us.
We'll
take it.
That's fine.
The black community.
We'll take it. And he says, that's fine. Wow. How to maneuver when you're a snake? How to maneuver? So interesting, right? That he didn't seem prepared for this, but the stuttering's the giveaway.
Would gladly take
that's in it.
I can't speak for everybody.
It's like $3 billion a year. We should point out at this point that we spend, I think, $6 billion a year on our military bases in Japan, $5 billion a year on our military bases in Germany. We spend an awful lot of money that helps an awful lot of other countries. Israel has to spend all of that money, by the way, in the United States on military products. So
that's not true. You're lying. That's not how it works. It's 3.8 is the base, and besides, it's not no, that's not how it works. We are paying for their everyday costs, their health care, their schooling, their housing. Basically a UBI available for people there. They can reapply every 2 years and they can get another UBI. And when it runs out, they can apply again. They don't even have to work at all. And this is the right wingers telling us, oh, those horrible Democrats wanting all those SNAP recipients. No, they're just so lazy and they don't do it all. Meanwhile, Israel, more money. And Charlemagne is saying, we'll take the money. That's fine. You can have it. Well, there goes your whole case about how reparations don't work.
So all of the money that we send to it, we actually don't send money to Israel. We send military product to Israel that is made in the United States. And so it actually is a subsidy to the American defense industry. And there is a deal with Israel where Israel does intelligence sharing and also develops its own tech and can't disseminate it to the world. So, for example, the helmets that our F-35 pilots use, those are Israeli developed helmets, like that we can see over the horizon, for example. That's because Israel developed technological add-ons. So the idea that this is sort of like a zero sum, the money goes out, we get nothing back, that's actually not true.
Well, thanks for clarifying. Well, to sum up this story, Jeff Epstein parody account tells us this. Germany has given Israel over $88 billion in reparations, which Ben Shapiro says hasn't affected them at all as far as how they've been so successful. Because as Ben Shapiro tells us, reparations hurt people. They hurt people. So that had nothing to do with it, right? The U.S. has given Israel over $312 billion in foreign aid. What has Israel ever given to the world? Great question. Question, Jeff Epstein parody account. So these are the numbers that they're always going to skew when it's convenient to skew them, as Ben Shapiro does, even Laura Loomer does. But make no mistake, however you spin it, however the Zionists are spinning it, and the money and the justification, all this stuff that it's not really a genocide, and oh, what about all these other countries, blah, blah, blah. The fact that Laura Loomer wants to defund Israel right now says something about how far we've come. So we are making progress. And kudos to those on the right who voted for Trump and have the courage to speak out only a year into the second term and say, we got that wrong. And I urge people to look at why we got it wrong, because it's not make America great again. It's make Israel great. Okay. That is on that topic. We're good on that. I see, welcome new guys to the show. I see you guys have been coming in through YouTube and through Rumble. A lot of great comments here. I'm going to be getting to your comments shortly. We're going to do one more segment before talking back, and I got some more stuff planned after that. So we still got a lot of show left here on this Tuesday afternoon. We did get a late start, but we appreciate all you guys here with us. Yes, we do. Okay. Let's see, make sure if we got any super chats on YouTube or Rumble rants on Rumble, you guys will be cut to the front of the line. That's how we like to do it here on the Homeless Left when we get to you guys. So we'll be getting to that soon. We will, we will cut you guys in line and read your comments right away. If you guys, I'm just checking these. Okay. Super chats and Rumble rants. Go to the front of the line. Okay. So get those ready for us, guys, and we'll get to you shortly. We're going to do one more segment before the engagement with you guys. Let's see. It's a World War III watch. We were going to do this with Craig Pasta. We'll see if he can come in with us a little on Thursday, but oh my God, we have such a big show planned on Thursday. It's pretty remarkable. I'm actually, it might be one of our biggest shows. As far as the the attack plan and all the different conversations we plan to have, all the stuff we're covering. So this is why I'm so happy we're here now to get this stuff, because we can't do it all in one day. And that's why we do twice a week. We're here, guys. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, right here. The Homeless Left on Rumble. It's THL Presents on YouTube. You guys can go to those right now and throw up your comments, your responses to so far everything we covered, and we'll get to you guys shortly. Let me go ahead. I'm just queuing up this World War III watch real quick. Almost done. This will be a quickie. We'll do the rest of it. We have more to cover because, man, you guys, we can't keep track of all the threats of war. We can't keep track of it. It's too much, but we can only do one at a time if we really want to, do a deep analysis. Oh, by the way, kudos to Jay Scott. We helped me with a great analysis of the Nigeria situation. We did that on Thursday. We just threw that segment up. You guys want to check that out. That was really, really thoughtful, really well done. I'm so glad for that opportunity to look at this stuff, because this is the stuff you're not going to get on mainstream network channels. Obviously, a shout out to anybody else around us that does the same thing. We're not the only one that does this. You guys know our friends of the shows, do dissidents, obviously, do this type of work, and clearly Truthwire. That's Fee and Craig do this over on Truthwire. We have Hardlands Media out in Chicago does great work on this. The geopolitics specifically, we know the people working tirelessly on this type of stuff. The Patrick Henningsons and Last America Vagabonds out there doing this work. We know RBN does incredible work as well, and Sabby Sab. So I'm hoping we can get on with that. By the way, Garland Nixon, shout out to Garland Nixon out in Russia right now, having face-to-face time with Scott Ritter and others. And what great opportunity he is, going out there to Moscow and doing, boots on the ground, getting the story right now. Great job with that, Garland. And we're going to have some more engagement with Garland next week when he's back in town and we're able to, have our conversations on his show. So that'll be awesome. But yeah, I can't even mention everybody that I would say does the hard stuff, does the good work here in our space. Very cool. And let's see. Oh, look at this. We do have a little look at this. We have a little Rumble rant. I'm gonna do this right now before World War III watch. We have a Rumble rant from Mary Ploppins. Rumble rant. Thanks for this. I just got to copy it over really quick because it's not showing on StreamYard, but I see it over on Rumble. So thank you for this. And you do have a question. Let's get to this question. Okay. Okay. This is a Rumble rant from Mary Ploppins. I have answered this before, but I will answer for those who are just meeting us or know us more of the short term. Mary Ploppins asks, my husband wants to know what your ancestors did to earn the name Weinglass. Great question. Well, it's a crazy story. I will tell you this. Weinglass is not my ancestor's name. So I am not, and a lot of people think I am Jewish by blood. I'm not. The name was made up by my mother. Me and my brother, Jeremy, we all have the name Weinglass, but the name was made up. It actually aligns with the name of a lawyer from San Francisco, where I was born. The lawyer's name was Leonard Weinglass. He's actually a prominent player in the civil rights movement, and you can see that character of Leonard Weinglass was in, it's the real life person, but you can see him being depicted in the films made about the Chicago 7, particularly if you want to go check out the Chicago 7 film on Netflix. It came out a couple years ago, an Aaron Sorkin film. The character Leonard Weinglass was a starting out attorney. He was the second lead in the case, going against the government, going against the CIA and the FBI. So he fought for civil rights and fought against power. His name was Leonard Weinglass. He passed away in 2004, but believe it or not, my brother and I have connected with his family and we got tight, and it's almost like we're all in the same family now. But it's Stephen Weinglass is his brother, and he was at the wedding, me and Leslie's wedding last year, which was incredible. So we connect with people, and Weinglass has been something that's very interesting that I've only found out more or less recently of the lineage of the name of from Leonard, the activist lawyer. Stephen's been a big part of our lives here. And as we're living through this genocide, as we're living through this time, it's really amazing for me to be aligned with people that have the ability and courage to call out call out power and fight for people regardless of their lineage. So as I am not technically aligned my lineage with the name Weinglass, it does come from an honest place and a place of inspiration, and that's the inspiration I want to give to you guys watching, and know that we can be whoever we want to be, and we're not dependent on our lineage to be that person. We can be inspired by lineage. We can be inspired by other lineage that's not ours, and we can be who we want to be and represent that in any case. That's the life lesson here. So be who you want to be, and don't be limited to just the name you were given at birth, because in some cases the name you're given at birth was also just an idea that was made up, as in my case. So you do with it with what you can. And I'll tell you this, one more side note. If anti-Semitism was such a problem, I probably would have noticed it long ago and probably changed my name, because I'd be like, I don't want to have a name that gets, called out in such a bad. No, actually, it's the opposite. It's actually helped me in LA. The name Weinglass has helped me tremendously as far as getting access to Hollywood backdoor meetings and studios sitting down with me. They like the name for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe they just like to drink wine. I know my mom liked to drink wine. That's another thing. Weinglass. Maybe people just like the ring to it. But for some reason, I've been able to get into a lot of rooms with that name. So I got to tell you guys, as far as anti-Semitism goes, I got nothing to complain about on my end. So that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, let's do World War III watch. It's time. It's time for that, and then I'll get to more of you guys' questions. Here we go. It's World War III watch. Let's just face it, it's already started. Okay, we're looking at the entire spectrum of the wars, or the potential wars, the potential attacks that this president has either announced or has been threatening. And the list is long. Make no mistake. The list is long. So the Secretary of War, as announced by Trump, we have not a Secretary of State, not a Secretary of Defense, a Secretary of War. This was the latest tweet he put out. Make no mistake, the attacks going out right now in the Caribbean around Venezuela have not stopped. Still happening. This is from November 10th. Yesterday, at the direction of President Trump, 2 lethal kinetic strikes were conducted on 2 vessels operated by designated terrorist organizations. There we go with the designated terrorists again, right? Glenn Greenwald tells us this. It's a word used just whenever we need to use it, we use it. So we designated these terrorist organizations. These vessels were known by our intelligence to be associated with illicit narcotics smuggling. We're carrying narcotics, and we're transiting along a known narco trafficking transit route in the Eastern Pacific. Oh, was it now? Is that what you guys determined? Okay. Both strikes were conducted in international waters, and 3 narco terrorists were aboard each vessel. All 6 were killed. No U.S. forces were harmed. Under President Trump, we are protecting the homeland and killing these cartel terrorists who wish to harm our country and its people. And here's the footage to prove it. Declassified by our Secretary of War. Look at that. It's like that game. Oh, it's that game Battleship, right? It's that Battleship game. They tried to make a movie on that. Nobody saw it. It was complete disaster. Complete disaster of a film. But who wants to see a Hollywood film about blowing up battleships or play the game Battleship on a game board when you can have real life murdering going on? Because these boats aren't just like board game pieces. They actually are real, and they have people on them, and we're murdering them, and we're designating them as terrorists. And even if they are doing these horrible things, narco trafficking, we're letting people know that we have the ability to do judge, jury, and executioner all at the same time. Because due process, well, that's a thing of the past as far as this administration is concerned. So that's where we are with Venezuela. And we know we're now on the cusp of invading Nicaragua. We are looking at a possible invasion, a secret, top secret invasion of Mexico. We have the ongoing Ukraine war, which Trump ran on that he was going to stop in 24 hours, still going on, still funding this proxy war, still giving money to cokehead Zelensky, right? And all the while, we're still doing the Greater Israel Project and letting Israel do whatever they want with these fake ceasefire deals, which we told you were not real, are still happening. And so where does that leave us right now? Well, other leaders around the globe, other leaders are speaking up. And shout out to Pasta on this one, getting in line with Colombia. And he talked about that we should be going to Colombia and doing some coverage there because, and I haven't been to Colombia yet. I've been to a lot of Latin American countries, haven't been to Colombia yet. But there's a story there. And what we're going to do is listen to President Petro tell us what the game plan really is. And he's not just telling, like, he's telling his people, he's telling the people listening on, on any of these Latin American news outlets. They're listening. They're listening. And it's not just the people in Colombia, it's all everywhere. They're listening to what he has to say. And he's telling us this rigged game against them and against people is actually against the American people. Interesting to have the thought, to be able to articulate that. Well, I'm going to let him do it. I'm going to have to read the subtitles. So let me set this up and think about that. The part of this, when he's going to talk, he's going to tell you that the real rigging, it's not just hurting the people that we are invading and the people we're blowing up and the people we're challenging to yet another endless war, a regime change war. It's hurting the American people themselves, that we are the ones being played. And that part is important because that's being recognized by other foreign leaders like Colombian President Petro. Let's listen to him right now. Okay. Here we go. A clan of pedophiles want to destroy democracy in Colombia. Harsh. Yeah, but that's the reality. And to keep the list from coming out, what's he talking about? What list? What list is he talking about? I wonder what list he's talking about. They sent warships to kill fishermen from the city, which we did. So we're killing fishermen, saying they're Venezuelan drug cartel lords or narco traffickers. We're killing Colombian fishermen, innocent people, and we're threatening the neighborhood. Talking about dictator, that's Maduro. So he's talking about the neighborhood. So we're calling Maduro dictator. Blah blah blah, so on and so on. We've been doing this forever. We did this with Chavez too. Before that, this is not a Trump thing. This is a U.S. imperialism thing. We've been doing this way back when Trump was just a narcissistic slumlord reality star. We were doing this. Everybody in Latin America knows it. We've been doing it. We don't know it though. That's the problem. As if the people of Colombia would applaud an invasion, right? Which Maria, we call her coronavirus now. Marina Coronavirus will tell you that the people want to be invaded. She tells us this. She tells us that 90% of Venezuelans, she told this on Eric Trump's podcast the other week, 90% of Venezuelans want to be invaded by the U.S., which is a bunch of horse shit. You can be against Maduro, and not want to be invaded by a foreign entity, especially not one US of A military. Are you effing kidding me? The number is actually 3%, which is I'm shocked. That's high. 3% is high, but she says it's 90. So he's calling, Petro is calling out this fake news. It's not what the people of Venezuela want, who are part of the neighborhood, as he says, the neighborhood. When would we ever be so treacherous and sold out? Betraying our own blood, or the people of Panama, or the people of Venezuela. They are our own people. So he's saying, I will not take the bribe. I'm not on Team America. I'm not on Team Trump. We're not doing it. Not selling out for this. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. And when he said the list, by the way, he was talking about the Epstein list. You guys should know that. We're trying to keep the Epstein list from coming out. We're starting these new wars. We're killing fishermen. We're threatening our neighbors with invasion so we can get the oil. He's going to get to the oil part, and then he's going to compare this to what we've done in the Middle East, which is an accurate comparison. An accurate comparison. Stealing resources, annihilating democratically elected governments, destroying the civilian population, coming in, puppet government, clean it up, take all the resources, just like we do in the Middle East. He's going to call it out here. Here we go. So they want the president to do what that coward is doing. Now, that's the guy that it has signed up to get on board, which you will be pressured to do. If you're president, you will be pressured. If you're a neighboring country, you will be pressured to put up or shut up. Worse than that, you're either with us, right? You're either with us or you're against us. So he's urging other leaders around Latin America to not give in to the oligarchy, the imperialist machine. Do not sell out your people because of threats that you're either with us or you're against us. That's the line that's been used since the war on terror began, early 2000s. Others before Maduro, others before Pedro have held their ground. Chavez held his ground when he was in power. So there are others that hold their ground on this. But then they get couped, then they get assassination attempted. And in the case of Libya and Iraq, they get murdered. Saddam and Gaddafi, they get murdered if they hold their ground. And they don't want to give up the resources, and they want their own currency. That's the other thing. So he's going to make that comparison next, the Middle East comparison. To lend Colombia, okay, from there they could invade. Hold on. That one went fast. They wanted to do, okay, to lend Colombia's land, and then from there they could invade a brother country that shares the same history as us. Because Bolivar was born there and came to die here in this city. It cannot be. A president of Colombia that would do that would be cursed by future generations. So he's not going to cooperate. He's not going to let Trump run all over him because Trump wants to get Maduro. You're not getting our help. You're not getting our help. Because he's saying the future generations would never forget you as a traitor. Well, that's probably true. That's probably true. I do not belong to those who wanted to kill Bolivar. The government of Venezuela has made many criticisms, but I do not mock the people of Venezuela. So as he says, we say the same thing. There are critiques deserving in Venezuela. There is corruption there. There is, we know about we covered the Tupamaros, which is like this unspoken branch of the government of Chavistas and Maduro that do the work the police won't do, and they do it hush hush. A lot of corruption there. But he's saying I do not mock the people there, even if we have disagreements or we have issues. They're not perfect, But we will not participate in this type of imperialistic psychopath warmongering, which is again designed to trick everybody involved, trick the American people. He'll get to that part too. Here, let's hear more of this. Nor will I set a trap for the people of Venezuela to fall into that trap of an invasion that is only about their oil, driven by greed and violence, to turn this beautiful corner of South America into another Syria, another Iraq. So what do? We ran Assad out of Syria, implemented a puppet leader, ex-Al-Qaeda, funded by the U.S., now buddy visiting the White House. Another Iraq, set up Saddam, who wanted his own currency for Iraq. We said, hell no, we take your oil. We kill you on an international stage. And then we kill 1 million of your people and say, you're the dictator. You're the person killing people. We killed 1 million of them. No one went to jail. Dick Cheney died at home in his bed with pillows and warm fires by his side. He did not die in a jail cell, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes. Another Libya full of slaves. And that is Gaddafi, who told us 9/11 was done by Israel. The petrodollar is being pushed on us. We don't want it. We want our own form of currency in Libya. And then Hillary Clinton came in and assassinated Gaddafi in the most brutal way you could possibly imagine. It was one of the most brutal assassinations ever. It wasn't a bullet to the back of the head through a window by a sniper. His body he was tortured. He was humiliated. He was dragged through the streets. They made him beg for his life, which he never did. He stayed silent. He let them beat the shit out of him and torture the shit out of him until he was dead. And Hillary Clinton will still smirk about it today and laugh about it. Along with Condoleezza Rice, they high-five women power on Jon Stewart's show on Apple. Go back and watch it. They actually do that in front of Jon Stewart, who's sitting there like a good little boy, letting them have their little woman power moment of how they like to murder people. Twisted, tormented, sick and twisted murder, which they did to Gaddafi. And that's who Petro is referring to right here, along with Syria and Iraq. We will not become that, a place of slavery, a slave to the U.S. imperialist machine, the Israel imperialist machine. We will not be slaves to that machine. We will go down fighting slave trading and new forms of slavery. So we talk about new forms of slavery, how you own people. There's other ways to own them besides putting you in chains and shackles. There's other forms of slavery. Epstein's list. There it is. His friends. Those who don't want that to be published in the United States, they want to use us here with violence so that the people of the United States don't think about their own government. Here we go. This is the most important part. The people of the U.S., that's us, they want us to think about narco trafficking and fentanyl's coming. They want us to think about that and not about our own problems, not about our own lack of health care, not about our own where's the Epstein list, not about our own economy falling apart, not about our own censorship, not about our own government shutdown, not about our own all the other wars we're creating, but everything not about our own ICE agents coming around and taking away due process from anyone they feel like they want to do it and get away with it because they're wearing masks. They want us to get consumed by xenophobia, by racism, by ideas of racial superiority and other false beliefs. And they use it for us to avoid addressing their own problems. The president of Colombia has spent decades denouncing drug traffickers, have always been the ruling elite in Colombia. So they've been ruling the state. So he's saying This isn't about narco trafficking. We've always been against that. This is a distraction. The drug cartels is a distraction. It's the next war on terror. It's the next blueprint. You roll out the blueprint of war on terror. You can't say Venezuela has weapons of mass destruction. So you say they have narco trafficking and they're bringing fentanyl here, even though we know for a fact that there is zero fentanyl that is created in Venezuela. We know that for a fact. That's a lie. We need more presidents calling this out, like President Petro, because people are listening. Are we listening here? That's a different story. That's a different story. But the people in the world are listening, and they feel there's certainly a lot of sympathy going in our direction, that we're the ones that have been hoodwinked. We're the ones that aren't being told the truth. We're the ones that don't have honest news outlets and mainstream media to tell us what's really going on. And that's why we do this show. And that's why we do World War III Watch. Okay. You know what? I think it's time. I think it's time for some talking back. I saw a few more super chats come in. So let me set that up because they're not coming in on our StreamYard. But I do appreciate this. Mary Poppins gave us another Rumble rant. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Okay, here we go. We're going to do some talking back. I'll make sure you guys know how to get to us so we can engage with you right now. Okay, so you guys can go on. If you're watching us on Rumble, thank you for being on Rumble. You can throw us up a Rumble rant. We'll respond to you right now, live on the show here. And if it's a good conversation, we'll have you guys on a segment, and we'll literally feature you in a thumbnail on our segment when we upload talking back later. That happens. We actually do feature your guys' comments in the thumbnails and on our uploads throughout the week. So if you got a good one, it might end up on there. So there you go. What constitutes a good Rumble rant or a good super chat or a good comment of any sort? Just one that's thought provoking that gets us into a conversation with you. That's all. YouTube, that's where we'll get some super chats. It's on THL Presents. We love you guys on there. Thanks for making that channel make sense and work because it's so new. We had to start it earlier January. We have it in, it's less than a year old, and we have a lot of you guys on there, and we really, really appreciate that. You can even comment on X if you want. We'll see those as well here on our StreamYard. On Facebook, we're not, Homeless Left's not on Facebook, but Matt Weinglass is. It is running simultaneously on my private Facebook account. If you guys are friends with me, you can request friendships, and I'll throw you in there. Also, you can just join the Homeless Left on Facebook. And when we get to I think it's a 60-day mark. When we get to the 60-day mark, they will let us stream on that page. It's a new page. What are you going to do? Huh? It's a new page. Okay. I think we're all set up. Yes, we are set up and we're ready for talking back with Matt. That's me. Here we go. Talking back with you guys today. This show, what we're doing today, make no mistake, guys. George Carlin once told us it's a big club and you ain't in it. And we're discovering that more and more today as we talk about the White House hosting an ex-Al-Qaeda leader. We're talking about a 40-day government shutdown, which turned out to be one big scam from both parties, which the American people suffered from. We're talking about the Kash Patel's girlfriend, crazy enough, is getting away with a $5 million lawsuit against a podcaster. We're talking about Laura Loomer doing a little shift on whether we should be funding Israel. So the MAGA divide is real. The left is also, what's going on the left is also real. It's really weird because they're not really understanding any of the fractions on the right now, but that's okay. They're in their own little head too. About, no kings and all that stuff. But here we are, still no healthcare, more wars on the horizon. We're talking about Nigeria is the next war. Venezuela is another war. We still have Ukraine. We still have the Greater Israel Project. We have Israel annihilating the hell out of Palestine. And if you thought that the ceasefire would hold up, boy, do I have a vaccine to sell you. So all of that's going on. Let's get to your comments. We want to start with Mary Ploppins did a Rumble rant with us earlier, and there was a follow-up. So I want to reintroduce that. The first question was about the name Weinglass. My husband wants to know what your ancestors did to earn the name Weinglass. As we told you guys earlier, and I'll say it again, the name is made up, not real. But in any case, it's only worked as a positive for me being here in LA. As you guys could probably guess, knowing how bad of an issue we have with anti-Semitism. I mean, since I would never accuse any group of owning the media or anything like that. But I'll tell you, when we're in entertainment, we're in media, for some reason, I do seem to get a lot of meetings with that name. So she followed up with this. That's a great story. Although my husband will be disappointed that you don't come from a line of winos. Actually, I think there's more whining going on my dad's side with the wine background. But in any case, there's a little wine going on all sides. It's all good. Leslie and I have been known to have a glass for a special occasion. So that's neither here nor there. But thank you so much for the Rumble rant, and we're gonna get to your guys as well. Let me check any super chats going on, and if any more Rumble rants come in, you guys will come to the front of the line. We'll get you guys up here right away. That's how we do it here on the Homeless Left. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, here we go, guys. I just saw this one. Citizen Pendejo, you did not miss it. I have the Miss Rachel content. We did promise it. It is coming. It'll be after this segment, so stay tuned. We have a Miss Rachel segment planned for you, as well as a Loudest Voice of the Week. So we got 2 more segments coming up after this. Thank you for that, Citizen Pendejo. And this is Real Talk. Thank you, Justice by Karma. Really appreciate you tuning in to the show. Okay, let's get to what's happening. I'll back it up here. You got everybody just so friendly. Oh my gosh, you guys are so friendly on here. And yes, Fred Edward, that's correct. La 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 electric drama equals late start. That's right. And it's not electric. Let me say, it's not the electric company. It's AT&T. These bastards we don't know what's going on. We'll get back to you, sir. We'll get back. Hey, I'm trying to do my podcast and you turned off the internet. Well, we didn't do it. We're looking into it. We'll let you know. We'll definitely have it on. They literally said, we'll definitely have it on by 8 p.m. tonight. Are you effing kidding me? 8 p.m. But then it magically came back on, and here we are. We just had a little late start. Hope that doesn't happen when we have a big, fat guest in with us. Yes, hi to everybody. Yes, TTWSUF. Free the world from imperialist ideology. Yes, agree with that. Agree with that for sure. For sure. Okay. What do we got? Yo, all you guys. I love seeing all the regulars here. Very cool. I'll follow this one up. TDLW SUF. Free Palestine, Sudan, Cuba, Haiti, Kashmir. Still in Australia, natives are third-class citizens. Yeah, I said it. The natives are third-class citizens. Yeah, and you know what? Australia is one of those places that we bullied into submission. We've told them 1,000 times, you either play by our rules or you become the enemy. This has always been our way. You're either with us or you're against us, and we've done that to Australia, and they've complied. They've certainly complied with us. They would rather you'd rather your enemy was your friend than your enemy making you their number one enemy. And that's a lot of people make that decision. Now, Colombia is not doing that right now. They're like, no, hell no. We're not going to fall for that shit where we have to sell out our people to be friendly with you. We'd rather go down in the sinking ship with our people and with our dignity and our respect than get on board with the imperialist machine. And so that takes some courage to do that. And Venezuela has been doing that. Obviously, all these Middle East countries we talk about did it. Gaddafi did it in Libya. There's so many. There are so many that are worth mentioning that did this. that said, no, we're not aligning. We're not going to comply. We will not comply. Hell yeah. Yes, and we are getting to Citizen Video. I told you we are getting to some Miss Rachel. We are getting to it. So hang on. Oh, this is funny. Pittsburgh, dude. Oh man, this is hilarious. So Giuliani, that's our temporary Syrian president, ex Al-Qaeda leader. Giuliani's gonna be joining the Harlem Globetrotters. Oh wait. What? Okay, yeah, this is a joke, right? This is a joke. Okay, the Harlem Globetrotter is going to become dictator of Gaza, and Tony Blair is going to become the leader of Syria. Hilarious. You know what? At this point, we might as well joke about it because, there you go. Oh, this is good historical context. Thanks for this follow-up, Pittsburgh dude. Syria gained independence from France in 1946. So it's no wonder why we stopped having control of Syria in 1946, because we had control of France in 1946. So why would we then be able to keep that control? And so we've been fighting for it ever since with all these different coup attempts and takedown attempts. Well, it finally worked. Congratulations, Trump. You got it done in 9 days. Wow. December 2024. One of your biggest accomplishments. But I'll remind everybody, Trump's first term, he was more anti-war his first term. Occasionally he'd do things like this. He would say on record out loud, we're only in Syria for the oil. He said that. That's what you're not allowed to do. You know what he also said? What he thought was in private, but was being recorded. He said, I should declassify this. I should have, but I'll tell you anyway. And then he got in trouble for that. Oh, you said something that was classified. And then CNN played it. Anderson Cooper played it. He told us on that tape in the White House on a private meeting. I forget who he was talking to, but they played the clip on CNN. And Anderson Cooper, with his face, was mad about the wrong thing on purpose. He's mad that the president would say something that he was supposed to declassify it and then say it. So he did it in the wrong order. That was their story. But the real story is, what did he say? What he said was, Mike Pompeo has set me up. I did not want to bomb Syria. I didn't want to go in there. And he says that I wanted to. And I told him no. And then he did it anyway. And then he went on CNN and he said that I made him do it and that I wanted to bomb Syria. That's what he said. So this Trump is no longer here. He's gone. That Trump got taken out with the dump, with the trash, along with that piece of his ear. That Trump no longer exists. The one that every once in a while will tell you that we're not good. You think Russia's bad? We don't do good. We do bad things. He said that to Bill O'Reilly on Fox News back in the day. So admitting that we're only in Syria for the oil, admitting that he's not actually in charge of war policy, and CNN not caring about that part, but saying, oh, you weren't supposed to say that. It's not that he's revealed something. It's, oh, you weren't supposed to say that, Trump. What kind of president are you? You should have kept your mouth shut like Biden does and Obama did. You got to keep your mouth shut like Clinton. You got to keep your mouth shut like Reagan and Bush Sr. So they made him right. They made him right this time. Now he only opens his mouth to spew war propaganda. That's all it is now. That's all of his tirades are now all war. Secretary of War this, ICE that, invade this, drug narco trafficker that, weapons of mass destruction probably coming. We know, Putin, he's literally doing Joe Biden's policy now in Ukraine. The exact thing that people voted for him, he's now doing. He is literally Joe Biden 2.0 for Ukraine. And the media can't say anything because they were for that. They're for the war in Ukraine. So is the Democratic Party. So they can't call him out on that. You see how this works? You guys see how this works? Okay. Let's get to some more of you guys. Let's see. Okay. We have. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, we should go. We all had rough tasks. That's the excuse. That's the excuse for the Syrian president, for Trump. When you say, hey, what about the fact he was on a terrorist list, $10 million bounty? Well, we all have rough pasts. Yeah, rough. Rough is a understatement. Huh. Okay. What else we got here? We got airwaves. The irony of Fox screaming about Mamdani as a jihadist interviews actual jihadists. That is a great quote, Airwaves. I'm giving you the temp, just like the Syrian president. I will say you are temporarily the comment of the day, temporarily, unless someone can outdo that. That's the temporary comment of the day. Great comparison. It's so interesting that people are, again, you're told what to be afraid of, you're told what not to care about. And Fox does a great job with their audience of telling you what to be afraid of and telling you what not to be afraid of. Even if it's the same thing, they can tell you this time it's bad, this time it's okay. Mamdani bad, Sharia law is coming to the NYC. Be afraid, be very afraid. Communist China is coming to NYC. Be afraid, be very afraid. Ex-Assad, Al-Qaeda terrorist meeting with Trump. Don't be afraid. He's reformed. Oh, by the way, his pronouns now are he, him. I'm not kidding you. His pronouns are he, him. CNN told us that on their first interview with him back in December, after the 9-day takedown of Assad, which I know Netanyahu is very proud of. Netanyahu is very, very proud of that one, because that was his genius that did it. He's been telling us to do it for years, and we finally did it. I'm sure there was a party. He held a party for that one. Oh, I didn't realize this, Pittsburgh dude. I would never have guessed it. I never saw Charlie Wilson's War. Now I want to. Are you saying, Pittsburgh dude, are you saying that the movie Charlie Wilson's War shows us how the U.S. government created Al-Qaeda? Is that a thing that Hollywood and Tom Hanks did? They're telling us this? Every once in a while, they like to tell us the quiet part out loud. They brag about it. So yeah, it's no secret that Hillary Clinton and Obama have told us this. So why not have Tom Hanks tell us as well? Just tell us right on the screen, because it's out there, and then you're saying it out loud, and then you don't have to worry. None of us can be you eliminate the whistleblower element when you put it in a film, or you just throw it out in a tweet or a speech. We can't whistleblow anything because you whistleblowed yourself. It's pretty genius. It's pretty genius. Okay. Let's get through a little more here. And I want to make sure. Okay, we're good. We're good on Rumble. We're good on YouTube. Yes, we're good. Okay. Oh, I love this, Airways. Akeem, Dr. Seuss Jeffries. Exactly. Cat in the Hat. The cat with the red hat or the green breakfast. I don't want eggs and ham or breakfast. Oh, I don't even know. You know how the talking of the word games that Dr. Seuss plays. It's very familiar of the way Akeem Jeffries is talking about that. Democrat success. I apparently the Democrats had a big success with that 40-day lockdown because they got nothing done, which is exactly what they wanted. So it is a success. Here's another one. Van Jones is bald and a shill for the duopoly, like another guy that shares his surname. Which one are we talking about? Am I missing that? Oh, I know who you're talking about. Alex Jones. That's funny. Oh, here we go. Alex Jones and Van Jones are both bald duopoly shills controlled by Israel, who wants us all to drink the Jonestown Kool-Aid. Do you think that Alex Jones was always controlled by Israel? I think every once in a while he has a moment of a reveal. I think he was the first to report on Israel with 9/11 back in 2001 when it happened. I wonder about him. But I hear you. They all play a role. And let's see what else we got here. Moving through here. Okay. Yes, Leor W. Cash's girlfriend. What a joke. Yeah. And as we said, Gray Zone put in the article, Max Blumenthal put in the article about her and the $5 million lawsuit that she's a failed, what is it, failed country singer or a wannabe country singer. Not that great. Not even that good at what she does. I hadn't heard of her otherwise. I don't know like if anybody actually bought any albums or went to any concerts. But yeah, whatever. Citizen Badale, what are you doing? Do you want to get sued by Cash's girlfriend? I think you want to get sued next. I think you're next on this. I thought we were gonna. You might jump ahead of the line. Erica Kirk is also a Mossad honey trap. Oh no, I think Erica Kirk might take Kash Patel's legal team and say I want a piece of that. I want a piece of that. Give me a $5 million lawsuit. Let's go after Citizen Bandale. Thank you for that comment. Thank you all, guys, for tuning in today. We'll go to a few more. That's funny, Airways. Ted Cruz is transitioning to grandpa from the Munsters. Yeah, it kind of looked like that with the I don't know if it was the lighting of the makeup, but yeah, he's looking like a little pale, like a little Munsters or Addams Family, a little pale look. It's weird, really weird. Okay, let's see what else we got here. All right. Let's see. Freedom Finder 123. Thanks for tuning in. I love Candace so much. Hey, I think she's pretty badass myself. I know we talk about Craig Pastas brought this up, but she still has taken money from Oracle or whatever. She doesn't go after Ellison in the way she should. She has that ironic thing on her desk that says I love the CIA. I told Pasta that's irony, that's not real. Why would that make so anyways, but she's done some fantastic work with the Charlie Kirk stuff. And I have to keep telling Craig Pasta that she does fantastic work with that. And I think it's okay that we can pick and choose when we want to say, hey, somebody got something right. It doesn't mean they have to be right about everything. It's okay if they hold off on one story but elevate another. We do that all the time. We're guilty of that. We only have so much time. Some stories we go down rabbit holes. Other ones we leave alone or we go back to later. There's so much, you guys know, there's so much stuff we can't cover because we just don't have the means. I'd like to do more on the alien stuff. I'd like to do more on what else? There's so many stuff that gets kind of brushed aside. Jay Scott will come on and throw some stuff in our little to-do list folder, and it'll be stuff that I forgot about, like the pyramids and Giza, and there's so much to look at every day. And you can get caught on one thing like Charlie Kirk, and you can spend hours of the day on that. So let off on some people, even if they're getting some big checks. Big checks doesn't buy you more time. We only have 24 hours. Everybody has 24 hours in the day. Everybody has the same amount. I don't care how many billion. I don't care if you're Miriam Adelson with, as Trump says, 60 billion in the bank. I don't care if you have 60 billion. You still have 24 hours in the day. So we do tend to, and with Candace, I'll say, yeah, she tends to, obviously she's focusing on Charlie Kirk a lot because that was her friend, and they had that little divide because of Israel, and they were able to connect right before he died. And I think that's important. That's important to show that timeline and what actually happened there. And if anyone's going to get justice, you think Erica Kirk is working as diligently on this? Or she is Erica Kirk presenting more of an O.J. Simpson? That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing an O.J. Simpson. It says we're going to find the real killers, and then it's playing around a golf. That's what it looks like to me. That's what it looks like to me. So, I'd rather have I would take Candace Owen over O.J. Simpson any day as far as finding the real killers, wherever that leads us to. Right, O.J.? Okay. Oh, that's right. He died suddenly of some, I don't know what. Maybe he had some sort of vaccine he had put in his body. I don't know what it was about. Oh yeah, that's right. The COVID lockdown stuff. And then completely unrelated, he dropped dead. Probably completely unrelated to that. I just wanted to point that out. He also did promote the vaccine. Okay, enough on that tangent. Oh, this is important. This is important. Freedom Fighter saying, I hated Tucker. We should go same here too. Leslie says, big fan of Tucker now. And Ed Rams, Tucker is great. So we can change our mind about people. It's okay. It's okay. We can change our mind. So that's good. I'm glad you guys are talking about that in the chat. Let's do a couple more, and then we'll get on. I got 2 more stories for you guys, so don't go anywhere here. 2 more stories coming up. Miss Rachel's one of them. We're gonna do Miss Rachel. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. Longtime listener. Israel stole American tech, sold it to the Chinese during the Pollard affair. Well, don't tell that to Ben Shapiro. He's not going to like to hear that. Because what I hear from Ben Shapiro is that we benefit from the genius of Israel and the technology they've created with our money, and it helps us tenfold. I wouldn't even. I mean, what would Ben Shapiro say if you told him that Israel stole our tech? I'm sure he would go into convulsions of some sort if you told him that. So just let's just keep that between us right now. Longtime listener, appreciate that. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Manimus, hey Manimus, thanks for tuning in. Matt, why don't the ICC and the ICJ go after the IDF, since they are the ones that are committing the ugly things happening in Gaza? Why do they only go after the leaders? Because, Manimus, as great as it is that the ICC and the ICJ have officially put Netanyahu on an arrest list for crimes against humanity, they also put the leader of Hamas on that same list. And that's a shame, because it seems to me that even though we can point to that list and say Netanyahu needs to be arrested, and that there's only like 4 or 5 countries he can go to right now where he won't be officially arrested, that's not the whole story. And it's just enough that they can get away with that and do their part in the history books to say this is official. But if they went to the extent of putting IDF soldiers on that list, you could arrest them, and you would have to at that point. You'd have to investigate every one of them, and you'd have the proof. You'd have all the Instagram posts, all the TikTok shit that they so gleefully shared. I personally don't think if TikTok was around in 1940s Germany, the way that the Nazis have been presented to us, not just in the movies, but let's say the real life footage and the accounting of it, they do not seem like the type that would have voluntarily shared the stuff, the incriminating stuff, the self-incriminating stuff that IDF soldiers have shared. There's such a strong, long, obvious paper trail that if the ICC and the ICJ did that, they would have to go the distance with it. You couldn't just say, oh, if they happen to go into 4 countries, you would have to go further with that. And then you have to be taken seriously. And at some point, they'd have to justify, why is the Hamas leader on that list? It doesn't make any sense. If you are an occupied nation, you have the right for resistance. You have the right to resist that occupation. Why would the Hamas leader be on that same list? It doesn't make any sense. So a lot of it does seem for show. That's what it seems. I hope one day, because of the fact, and here's the silver lining, with or without the ICC or the ICJ, the IDF, like we said, they documented their own war crimes. Gleefully so. I don't believe, and this is just my opinion, I don't believe that the Nazis would have done that in droves. Maybe a handful of them would have, and this is just a hypothetical, if the internet existed then. I think that they would actively try to censor themselves. That's just my opinion. I can't imagine being so gleeful in the time of the internet, in the time of social media, in the time of everything is traceable. The internet is forever. Everybody knows this, yet they still do stupid shit on it. But the IDF soldiers are uniquely insane to do this because that paper trail is there and you can't get rid of all of it. We're going to do a story Thursday on YouTube trying to get rid of posts from YouTube. That has happened. So we know that the social media companies are actively trying to erase some of these things that have been uploaded, some of the incriminating videos. They're being erased right now. We're going to cover that on Thursday. But enough people have downloaded it themselves. They've screenshotted it. We have it. You can't get to all of us because we already have it on our hard drives. We have it on backup hard drive. We have screenshots saved on secret servers. We have this stuff. You can't get all of it. Anyways, that's why, Manimus. That's why they won't go after the ICJ. Okay, a few more, and then we'll get on to the last 2 stories here. Oh, did this happen? Justice by Karma. Great shout out to the homeless left fam of RBM, Sabby, Sabs, Garland, Nixon, many others. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you're talking about, we mentioned all of them. I'm confused. Are you saying that they did a shout out to us? I mean, we know them well. We haven't done Sabby Sabs yet, but Nick is going to be on with us, I think Thursday. Garland will be with him, but yeah, no, we like to uplift us all. And I think I mentioned a few others in there as well. I know we mentioned Hard Lens as well, Kit Cabello. But yeah, what goes around comes around. We do like to return the favor too. We would love to return the favor of a Rumble raid. Do Dissidents loves to Rumble raid us, and they didn't. I don't think they did it today, but we would love to do it back to them for sure, for sure. Okay, so let's see. A few more here. Okay. Let's do it. Let's just do a couple more. Yes, of course. Jam Pan, thanks for tuning in on Rumble. The homeless left. World Trade Center 127 equals controlled demolition. Yes, indeed. And Wishigo and 910 was an inside job too. That's right. Add it to the list. Yes, and since we're on the topic of Weinglass, Jam Pan, are you a good witch or a bad witch? Ha, just kidding. Any friend of Craig Pasta, Jardula, has got to be on the right side of history. Thank you for that, and thanks for that. And I'm sure Pasta will get your message. Thank you for that so much. Okay, what do we got? We got to look at this one. Leora W, the latest out of Tucker's mouth. Did you hear Pete Buttigieg is fake gay? I didn't hear him say that, but I'll say this. We know that Buttigieg is Buttigieg. We know that he was hand selected by the Democratic Party. Very robot AI dude that was supposed to be the predecessor to Obama, but he just didn't have the skill set. He might have gotten better since, but he doesn't have the skill set to present the way they needed him to. He was like this wind-up toy that it run. You know the wind-up toy. You pull the thing and then it moves. He kind of runs out of gas, and he did that during the primary in 2020. He kind of ran out of gas. He had some reporters coming at him about the close race between him and Bernie, and he kind of ran out of stuff. You just kind of look. He kind of had this like shutdown, like doesn't compute. So if Tucker said something about him faking the gay, I mean. That could be. I don't know. But the point is that you elevate. The Democratic Party is very good at elevating this identity politics game. If you look at the last speaker of the PR speaker for the president, checking 4 boxes, right? Pierre Corey or whatever. What is her name? Karina. She had like 4 names. I can't remember. That she checked like 4 boxes. Woman, lesbian, foreigner, and one other box. She did. So that's the point. You check boxes. So you got to check a box for Pete Buttigieg. It's another box that you couldn't check with Obama. So they keep checking different boxes. Kamala got to check 2 boxes, right? She got to check 3. She got to be Indian American and African American, and she got to be a woman, and she got to do all. So you get to check boxes and then elevate that person based on that box. And then you You use that box as a deflector when you challenge the person. You're not allowed to challenge the person because they are these things in those boxes. Hence, being gay would be one of those check boxes that you can't then challenge him on anything he did wrong or needs to be called out about, because it means that you're homophobic. You guys know the drill. You guys know the drill. Okay. Let's see. And let's just, this is good. This is good. Let's say this. I don't think he was faking. Thanks for that. But make no mistake, during his time, it was super useful to be gay. So it gets elevated. Those characteristics, those get elevated. It's very easy to do that in the Democratic Party, parading people around. It's called identity politics. You weaponize identity and you use it against the people because you get people to vote out of emotion, not out of policy. And you feel like, oh, first woman president this, first gay president that. And that's how you use it to leverage power. That's what you do. So we figured it out with Obama, and they haven't stopped ever since. It's been, first black president. They checked that one. Now you got to go around and do the other one. So that's basically. And thanks Airways for correcting me. Karine Jean Pierre checked 4 boxes. She checked 4 boxes. There it is. There it is. Can't do more than 4. I can't think of what you could do after those 4. And we'll end with this one, and then anything else we'll throw up later, guys. But Airways, Maria Corina Machado, traitor to Venezuela. Hell yeah, she is. And we know her personally because we interviewed her in our film. You can check out on Amazon Prime. It's called Tupamato, Urban Guerrillas. She's in the film. She's in the 3rd act, and she lies the entire time. We put it in the film because we want all the sides, but she's a very, very horrible person, establishment shill. And we came up with a new nickname for her, Maria Corina Machado. Now we call her Marina Coronavirus Machado, because that's what she is, a fake-ass virus that takes your world and turns it upside down for the purpose of elevating the establishment and silencing and dividing and keeping people in line and keeping you compliant. That's what she's about. So Maria Coronavirus Machado, certainly she's a traitor. Okay, that should do it for today. As far as talking back, but anything else you guys put on there, we will get to later. Actually, you know what? I got one more. Let me do one more. Actually, we'll save this. Okay. Sorry, guys. There's a lot there. Okay. So that should do it for talking back. We're cutting to let me cut to a card and go grab a drink, bathroom break. We have 2 more segments for you guys. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. All right. See you soon. Okay. Welcome back, guys. We are good to go with our final couple segments for you for today. We did get a late start. That's why it's we're into our 3rd hour. We'll certainly we'll be finishing up here before the 4-hour mark this time. But we do have a great show, amazing show planned for you on Thursday, so don't miss out on that. We'll be starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, not for tech reasons like we did today, but for more accommodating reasons, because we're going to have a lot of people coming in with us. Great conversations on Thursday. We're going to start the show at 1 p.m. Pacific, and we'll be bringing in, I think we'll be able to bring in Craig Pasa for a little bit. We'll have a little cushion for him. We had some stuff we were going to do today, but because of the tech issues, didn't work out. We'll have Jay Scott in as well, along with, we have a guest co-host coming in later on Thursday, Kelly Lane. She's been on the show before, and she's going to be giving us an opportunity to interview 2 ex-CIA and NSA whistleblowers Ray McGovern and Bill Binney will both be on, and we'll be able to talk about the surveillance state and the stuff they know and they can share with us. You might have seen them on, with Judge Knapp and some other shows out there. So you might know who they are, Ray McGovern, Bill Binney. Also, I believe we're going to have Nick Cruz come on from RBN. We've had to delay that as well. Correspondent on the show with us, Nick Cruz. Plus, our first time, we're going to have Nico House come on. Duopoly Destroyer will be on for the first time as well. So that'll be fun. A lot of stuff going on Thursday. So just letting you guys know that now. And yeah, that's it. So guys, you can watch if you're just joining us now. Thanks for being here. 2 more segments for you. Let's go ahead. I got this one queued up. I think we're queued up. Yeah, let's do this. We've been asked a few times today about Miss Rachel, right? We've been covering Miss Rachel. Clearly, she is pro-Palestine, but more important, she's pro-human, which is, I think, the big draw in why she's accumulated so much of an audience on YouTube and her other platforms. 1 billion people have seen her at one point on one form or another, whether Instagram, YouTube, or the other platform she's on. Parents line up to subscribe to her channel because their kids want to watch her because she relates to kids. She's all about humanity. She's all about children. She's about babies and children not dying. Imagine that. What a controversial place to be in your life, right? As a YouTuber, as an influencer, somebody who educates kids, who's an ex-school teacher, who now educates people online. It's so interesting, right? That you go so far as to be pro-human life and not want any babies to be murdered. Apparently, that's a very harsh and radical place to be. Well, I'll start with the good news, but she's been attacked again. She gets attacked regularly. Let's start with the good news, though. Glamour magazine announced that Miss Rachel got co-woman of the year a few weeks ago. She gave a speech. It was heart-wrenching. This is her accepting the award. So we'll start with that. If you guys didn't know, she's the receiver from Glamour of Woman of the Year. Here it is.
I am wearing this beautiful dress that has art from kids in Gaza, and these kids are just amazing. They're so thoughtful and so brilliant, and I know all their names and stories, Luna and Ahmed, Rama, Rana. I'm so proud of you. I'm so honored to wear your artwork. Rana made this beautiful drawing. She lost both of her sisters in the genocide. She lost her 9-month-old sister, Haya, in her arms in an airstrike. Her older sister was killed the next month. I want to end with her words because they're more important than mine. Rana wanted to say, I want to tell the world that my sisters are not numbers. They are moons. They are like the stars. They shine and sparkle.
Yeah, they said there wasn't a dry eye in the house during that presentation, and you guys can understand how, sincere she is. She's not a politician, clearly. She's just somebody that cares about children, and she's telling their stories. And I couldn't imagine like anybody being this angry about somebody saying that, there was anyone in Israel suffering, any children, because when you care about humanity, you care about all humanity, especially innocent children. So the viciousness coming from this, it's unbelievable. And she's had to deal with this for the entire way through what she's calling a genocide. I know it's radical to say genocide, apparently. But yeah, people like Tim Pool, just the harshest stuff you could possibly imagine being put out there, like this garbage. Miss Rachel's a demon who harms children. Keep your kids away from the shit. Well, what shit are you referring to, Tim Pool? Are you referring to Miss Rachel criticizing the government for cutting SNAP food aid? Oh, that's right, because she cares about all children. She's not just focused on Gaza. on arms and limbs being blown up from airstrikes, and sisters losing sisters, and brothers losing brothers, and parents losing children, and children losing parents. No, she's also criticizing our government for cutting SNAP food aid, because guess what? There are innocent children right here that don't get food. For the last 40 days, not gotten food. Well, you'll get it later. Trump says, you'll get it eventually. You can suck it up for 40 days. Come on, kids. So apparently Tim Pool thinks, and a lot of people think, that this is extreme, and it's a demon to be somebody who, quote, and this is his tweet. This is what he says: stay away from people who say, as she says, people who say there are Christian and want to cut SNAP. Jesus said to feed the hungry. I believe that is something that is agreed on universally, that feeding the hungry was part of Jesus's mantra. I believe that's been agreed on. I don't generally see anybody pushing back. People deflect that, but they don't say, no, that's wrong. It's interesting that that's considered being a demon. Also, and this quote on the side, imagine slashing SNAP, the program that helps children in the U.S. not go hungry, while sending billions of weapons to other countries to kill children. So what kind of mind F could you be at, Tim Pool and others, who think that this is demon behavior, and to urge them, if you're a parent, to keep your kids away from this, when this makes perfectly logical sense? So this is the kind of stuff she has to fight against. And words matter. Words are important. When you call somebody a demon, that's not fun and games. That's a real thing, and people fall for that. I'm going to get to the parody video in a moment. But this is the kind of stuff that Miss Rachel advocates. She calls out New York Times. Again, she's not a politician. She's not political. But all she did here, and I guess this is on her Instagram page, where she says words matter. And all she did was, this is Miss Rachel posting about a leaked internal memo from the New York Times. And she's saying words matter, as her followers that see this on their feed will see this leak, which actually happened. And the leak says that based on an internal memo, the New York Times revealed that editors instructed journalists covering Gaza to avoid or strictly limit certain words or phrases. So the words of slaughter, massacre, and carnage were flagged. They wanted to limit that because it's about steering narrative and manufacturing public consent when you run the New York Times. So you have to be careful on the words, right? So terms that you avoid, like genocide, ethnic cleansing, occupied territory in Palestine, except in narrow legal or historical context, it is discouraged describing Gaza as refugee camps as such, suggesting what? That they might be referred to as neighborhoods instead. So this is deliberate. This is very specific. Words matter, as she puts. So this is the threat of Miss Rachel, that she educates kids on YouTube. She promotes general welfare for all people, specifically children, wherever they're from, including here. She also, that's insane, because she's also been accused of working for Hamas. She's been asked that in interviews. Miss Rachel was asked if she works for Hamas. I mean, that's how insane this conversation has become. And now we'll get to the latest attack. This one's pretty bad. Let's start with the tweet. So this is the bottom of the tweet. This is Jamie Mitchell. She's one of the culprits here. One of the culprits who had the audacity to put this out. And I'm going to put the video up here in a second, but she tweets out the video. And what she claims is Miss Rachel is total poison. Parents should not allow their kids to watch her indoctrinating garbage, which this parody is not very far off from. So she covers herself, right, legally, by putting parody at the bottom of the thing. But the first thing she says is Miss Rachel is total poison, which is a total scam job by Jamie Mitchell. And others have done this too. This guy, Nagy, pointed it out. You know how much of a miserable dork you have to be to see Miss Rachel advocating for the safety of children abroad and thinking, yeah, I got to troll her. And make no mistake, this is a troll. I'm going to show you the video. And I'm going to show you that this is not an accident that Jamie Mitchell announced it was a parody because she doesn't want to get in trouble, but it's hidden in the second sentence. And that's on purpose. The first thing you're reading when you're going down your feed and you get to Jamie Mitchell, the first thing you see is Miss Rachel is total poison. And now you're going to watch the video and you're going to see what a good job they did pretending this was actually Miss Rachel when it's not. This is fake. And people might fall for this. And it's not okay. Here we are.
Friends. Today's letter is M for Mom Donnie. Yay! Mom Donnie is brown, right? Which is better than white. Good. We're decriminalizing prostitution. We're decriminalizing prostitution. If Timmy has 2 houses and DeAndre has none, what should Timmy do? I know. Give him his houses, right?
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely garbage. And I'm not sure what is worse, the video itself or the way it's being presented on Twitter and other platforms right now. Because when you present it with the intro of Miss Rachel is poison without saying this is a parody, I mean, you shouldn't be sharing this at all. It's absolutely disgusting garbage. But people are going to get the wrong message from that share because they're not reading the whole thing through. And I think it's important, and we understand how we can trick people with words, and words do matter. Words are not violence, but words can be manipulative. Words can be manipulative for sure. So people got to do a little bit better, looking a little closer at this stuff. But this is total garbage. And if you're somebody like Tim Pool, who is actively trying to warn parents to keep their kids away from this person, I don't know what to tell you. If that's where you're at in life, after everything that we've witnessed together over these last few years and understanding the historical context of the illegal occupation of Palestine and understanding the Nakba and understanding the years and years of terrorist activity and these people being in a position where they are so desperate that you would think there'd be more attempts than October 7th to get some sort of resistance movement, which they've tried. The least worry we should have is a teacher teaching kids fundamentals about humanity, and we should all want children to be fed. We should all want children not to have their arms and legs blown off. And that's a constant. That's just a principle. And it doesn't matter where they are from. That should be the least of where our anger goes. So if you're someone like Tim Pool and your anger is going there, something's either wrong with your head or your bank account has an extra $7,000 in it regularly getting deposited into it. That's the only other explanation. That unknown sender of the 7,000, or you're just mentally insane and you're a genocidal lunatic maniac. Okay. That should do it on that segment. We're gonna top everything off here with the loudest voice. This one, I'm glad we're circling back to this because we talk about the tide turning on Israel. So I think we're set up here. Okay, we're gonna do this one. Loudest voice of the week, because we won't have time on Thursday for loudest voice of the week. So we're gonna do it today. We're gonna end the show with this. Okay. There we go, guys. We got some tide turning on Israel, and we got some very important moments that occur, and I think this one is worth it. Here we go. Let's do the intro. Loudest voice of the week. Here we go. It's the loudest voice of the week. We are looking at Israel and the tide that it seems to be turning as we see more and more people being more and more vocal about this genocidal state that has been completely out of control with no repercussions seemingly, that can pretend to do ceasefire deals and then continue to torture and rape and celebrate the murder of Palestinian hostages. Meanwhile, keep spewing this propaganda that's worked. It's worked a long time. The propaganda about Hamas. Do you condemn Hamas? The worst act of violence we've seen since the Holocaust, October 7th. We've seen this work very well. Well, guess what? It's not working as well anymore on a level that goes beyond just the protesters in the streets. And I'm not saying just the protesters in the street had everything to do with this. And we need to recognize that global protesting against Israel has made a difference and has led to situations like this. We played this in the opening of the show when we started, and I wanted to circle back to this clip because it's important. We're going to talk about it. So here we go. This is Nama Lazimi. Nama Lazimi, who is a member of Israeli Knesset political party, is claiming in public, right in front of Netanyahu, she is calling him out on being the responsible party for October 7th, saying that he issued the stand down order and he himself ignored key security protocols before the attack, seemingly on purpose. She then goes on calling Netanyahu a plague and an enemy within. And she does this not to the camera. She does this right to his face. Check it out. Here we go. I accuse you, Benjamin Netanyahu, of the October 7th massacre, the greatest disaster the country has ever known happened on your watch. Even if you sleep with a clear conscience, look at that guy. I had to pause it. Look at that piece of shit. Look at his physicality right there. Look at his aura. Look at that face and his arm up on the chair, glaring back at her with this like dead, dark, cold. It's a non-human look. Just staring with those cold, pupilless eyes. Just there's something so sinister about this, and he seems to be so uninterested, as if he owns the room. Does he own the room, or is he going to be led away in handcuffs? Well, I hate to spoil it for you guys. Spoiler alert: he's not going to be led away in handcuffs. But make no mistake, this could not be done even just 6 months ago. This could not be done. We have gotten to the point where even though he seems unaffected, soulless piece of shit sitting there, she's looking right at him, telling him, we will not forget. It's a powerful moment. Well, let's see what happens next. We will cry out against the abandonment. A state commission of inquiry must be established. I accuse you, Benjamin Netanyahu, of funding Hamas, building terrorism, and turning a blind eye. The existential threat to us of abandoning the security of the state as a policy. Security is not a political tool. You hear? She's saying, you hear me? I'm talking to you, motherfucker. That's what she's saying. And he's sitting there all, oh yeah? Are you done? I got babies to kill. I got territory to take. I got more houses to put on, put up for on market. I gotta, we have a Beverly Hills auction going on. So, we got to make sure there's some new houses available from these Palestinian non-humans. We like to call them non-humans. So yeah, you done? You done, bitch? That's what but she's saying. You hear me? It is above everything. I accuse you, Netanyahu, of turning the working and serving public into Messiah's donkey. You created the alliance of draft dodging and annexation. The bravery of the fighters have disappeared from your sight, but not from ours. It is the light with which we will rebuild. I accuse you, Netanyahu, your personal corruption has become a national plague. There he is again. Look at that. Shifting his arm. Still looks not just, I could care less. But is there something beneath those dark, sunken, soulless eyes? Is there something there that might be thinking, what if my days are numbered? What if this is inevitably something I'm not going to walk away from? What if? Could he be thinking that right now? Could he? It's possible. He might be. The one fear he might have is whether he thinks obviously he doesn't think he deserves it. He thinks he can do whatever the F he wants, but there might be an idea that walking away in handcuffs at whatever he is, 80 years old, whatever, 70, what is he, 70? He was born on the Nakba, 77, 78. Netanyahu's one fear might be being led away in handcuffs. Who knows? Okay. But she's saying every corrupt person becomes your partner. The bigger you have on someone, the more convenient they are for you. So she's saying this is how it works. You align with people that you have stuff on them. So you blackmail them into being your partner. You don't have anyone who's legitimately your partner. You blackmail them into those relationships. That's what you do. So she's accusing him of all of these unethical business, not just the murdering of people. That's bad. And obviously the murdering of people, of innocent people, there's nothing worse than that. But she's also saying, this is how you're able to get away with it. This is how you're able to get away with it. You align yourself with people that you force into protecting you, or you will F them over. That is a technique. It works. If you're good at it, it really works. And she's calling it out. A one-man trial has taken an entire country hostage. I accuse you, Netanyahu, because you forgot what it means to be Jewish. Trump brought back hostages in your place while you, no matter what, were busy trying to get him to pardon you. Dozens of hostages were murdered and killed in captivity while you failed to fulfill the commandment of redeeming captives, conscienceless and godless. Look, he's kind of smirking right there, right? He's kind of smirking. I accuse you, Netanyahu. Racism has always served you, and that's what you mean. That's Jewish superiority. The Zionist mindset is totally racist. We know this. It's indisputable at this point. The superiority complex of special privileges for me. Everyone else is less than. You tore us apart from within. You turned half the nation into an enemy. So Netanyahu, the Moroccan, the traditional woman from Medel Hakim, we will break the walls you built. We will cleanse the poison you've poured here. For 30 years, we will return to being a united society. Okay, just side note, must be said, as accurate as this is, she is leaving out the part of the occupation Israel has had on Palestine and other surrounding areas in the Middle East dates back before 30 years, obviously. So there is, on one hand, she's right. On the other hand, if anything, if Netanyahu is let out in handcuffs, which he won't be today, again, spoiler alert, he's not being let out in handcuffs today. But if he is, then are we going to rewrite this that this is like Trump? This is Trump derangement syndrome. Are we going to have Netanyahu derangement syndrome where we say Israel's problem started 30 years ago with Netanyahu, get rid of the Netanyahu, and then we can go back to being a Jewish state that has integrity? Well, you can't do that because Israel has never been a state of integrity, ever. It's not designed as a state of integrity. It's designed as an occupation force who wreaks havoc on its neighboring countries because it started as wreaking havoc on the people that the land you stole from the beginning, which Netanyahu wasn't in a position of power when that happened, but he was the best person to pick up the mantle. It's very much like Trump derangement syndrome. People think when we call people out for Trump derangement syndrome, they think that we are excusing Trump. We're not. We're saying he's the perfect selection by the empire to continue the psychotic foreign policy and warmongering and censorship and division that the empire demanded. He was just the next face for it. So let's be careful that we're not doing Netanyahu derangement syndrome here when the whole state of Israel, in the entire existence of Israel, has been a problem the entire time. That's the thing. But anyway, she's right about everything, but just to keep that part in mind. It's not a 30-year problem. It's not even a 77, 78-year problem. This goes back to the Balfour Declaration. This goes back to 1917. We've talked about this. I won't get into it now, but you guys know that this is there's always more historical context than the moment we're living in right now. King Trump isn't the problem. It's King America, King Israel. King Netanyahu isn't the problem. It's King Israel, King America. That's the problem. But you're not seeing those on the signs being printed by the Walmart heiress. Okay, so you understand that. Okay. So I accuse you, Netanyahu. Citizens are being murdered here as if they are dust. Governance, yeah, right. When Likud operates a crime organizations rise up. I accuse you, Netanyahu, yes, of sacrificing life itself. People are utterly broken. Broken under the economic god. Is he like, is he saying, are we done yet? Are you done? Is he about to yawn? What's going on with this deranged lunatic? Broken under the economic reality. Boom. So that's a big deal to be able to say this right to his face. Very big deal. So we commend Naama Lazimi for having the guts and courage to doing this. She's not the only member of the Knesset that did this day. There was a bunch of them in the room that did this. There was another member of that political organization. Her name was Mirav Cohen. Mirav Cohen was also in that room and also called out Netanyahu. And we're hearing, and we didn't get all the footage of it, but we're hearing that multiple people stood up there and did this. This one of Naama Lazimi went viral, but there were others that showed up that day while Netanyahu sat in that chair with his arm. Are you done yet? Well, he had to sit through multiple ones of these, which is good. So I gave you the spoiler alert. He did not go away in handcuffs. Well, what happened to these women? Were they allowed to do this and just go home? Well, before they went home, they had to be made an example of. So I will show you the reaction when Netanyahu got up to speak, and these same women are interrupting as they should, and calling him the names he deserves to be called, calling him out to his face. And then, of course, this ends the way you would assume. At this point, you will be escorted out as a disruptor. And that's how this unfortunately ends. But we know that's the best case scenario because you can't escort Netanyahu out in handcuffs. That just can't happen at this point. But let's see let's see this. This is a shot of Netanyahu taking the power back in this room. But make no mistake, he was knocked. He was knocked in that whatever you call it, knocked into the body armor, dent in the shield. That happened, and that's good. But here's what he did for revenge. It appears in waves. Let me turn this volume down. Okay. Though it appears in waves. Member of Knesset, there's Miriam Cohen. First warning. So she's yelling from the audience right now. She's getting a warning. Just don't help me. Member Knesset Miriam Cohen. Second warning. Member Knesset Miriam. Third warning. Thank you. No need for help. Thank you. So they pick her up. There were 2 votes. The votes went back. And they escort her out. First, and here he goes. I intend to answer her question. Okay. Well, we didn't hear the question, but you're going to answer the question. Okay. Little patience. Secondly, I saw that many of these claims came from members of the Yesh Atid. And, well, we'll see if the Atid has a future. Okay. So now he's threatening this political party, saying, we'll see if they have a future. And he's calling out another one. This is Debbie Bitten, who I don't think we have a footage of her either, but there's a bunch of them that called him out during this this hearing. First warning. And there's another one. So they're giving warnings, and they're giving first warning, second warnings, and then they're escorting them out. So they all came there to make their voices heard, and more importantly, they were able to talk directly to Netanyahu, right to his face, with Nama Lazimi, as we know. That's the one that made the rounds on Twitter. A lot of people have seen this. But more importantly, Netanyahu had to sit there and listen to it right to his face without an interruption. So he was able to escort the women out later, but during her speech, she was not interrupted. And that's good. We're making baby steps. The tide is turning on Israel. And moments like these should be acknowledged, should be shared, should be celebrated as mini accomplishment moments as we work towards ending of Israel's reign in the Middle East, ultimately once and for all. So that's where we're heading. Baby steps can be good sometimes, better than no steps. But here we go, and that's what we're giving this woman that got to speak directly to Netanyahu and call him out for what he has done, specifically accused of creating October 7th, right to his face. Her name, Nama Lazimi, and she gets the loudest voice of the week. Okay. All right, guys. We're closing it out today. We're closing it out. We're hitting the 4-hour mark here just in time. It was a late start, but hey, we got to do what we got to do, guys. I told you we got a great show planned for Thursday. So if you just discovered us now, don't just hit the like. We appreciate the like. But hit the subscribe to the channel so you'll get notifications on YouTube. You'll get them on Rumble. You'll get the notification that we go live. I don't want you to miss the Thursday show. It'll be a special start time, 1 p.m. Pacific. That's 4 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be with you guys all afternoon on Thursday. A lot of great guests coming in. We really cannot wait for it. So with that said, thank you guys all for helping us do a good show today, even though we had a lot of hiccups at the beginning. We got it done. Thank you guys for toughing it out with us and anybody who was in and out throughout. We love you guys. Homeless Left, non-tribal approach to news. I'm gonna leave you guys with this. This one's fun. I don't know. It depends on if you think it's fun or not. But Trump is drawing boos now. They're more than we've ever heard, and it's interesting to see. You can take it for a grain of salt. Sometimes when you see footage of people getting booed, sometimes it's skewed because you only are hearing the audio from a certain part of the room. But there's take a listen to this one. He's over at he's at the Washington Commanders game, and he's trying to give a speech from one of the boxes, and you can just hear there's a few cheers, but mostly it's boos, and it's just wild. Like, it's wild, right? That's where we're that within under a year, I don't think anything like this could have happened 11 months, 12 months ago. I don't think so. Not when we were heading to that election. Like if you go back to a year ago, you wouldn't have gotten this. You wouldn't have gotten this reaction. So something's happening. The tide's turning on Israel. The tide's turning on Trump. But hopefully it's more than that. Hopefully it's more than bad apple Netanyahu or bad apple Trump. And we recognize that it's the entire system that needs to be called out, and the entire system that we need to be booing at, not just the current chosen person that was anointed temporary leader, temporary mouthpiece, temporary puppet. Really, if you think about it, it's really a puppet. And Trump told us his first term, he's not really in charge of our war policy. He's told top-down instructions. They straightened him out for the second term. He no longer tells us these things. He just does the warmongering. He skips that step of telling us, I got Pompeo in my one ear, I got John Bolton in my other. Now he doesn't say one bad word about Pete Hegseth. Not one bad. It's interesting. Not one bad word. We heard him talk shit on Bolton and on Pompeo the first term. Now he has nothing bad to say about Hegseth. To me, that means like, oh, he had a talking to and he got in line. And Miriam Allison made sure he got in line. So he's in line now, but the people are noticing. And that's why this is a fun one to look at. And it's a very, very interesting time we're at. One year in, 3 to go, guys. But we'll see you guys on Thursday. Thank you guys all for watching. I'll try to throw up a few comments on the outro. And we'll see you guys soon. And take care. Remember, always go out the world with courage, with conviction, and with principle. And they're all important. And we'll see you back on the Non-Tribal Newscast, The Homeless Left. I'm Matt Weinglass. And remember, also, power to the people and free Palestine. We're out.